Do, 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 do.
Uh,
Okay. All right. Let's add Mug. Mug's gonna be on the call.
uh, that at one point that Freakstone Games guy unfollowed me, and it probably had something to do with something I said on Twitter at some point that he
Probably.
didn't with
Hey, Mug.
silently disagreed with.
Yeah, hang on. Mug, can you hear us?
He's like
I'm
the
here.
Okay, cool.
type of he's the type of plebe who would probably think that Brexit wasn't mainly because of racist people.
Uh,
What are we talking about?
this guy on Twitter that gave Eric a hard time about this. We'll talk about it during the show. I
Mm.
got it in my deals here.
All I have to say is get good difficulty diehard defenders
Yeah.
are a crazy bunch.
Hey, did Break say something about not being here this week by chance?
No.
Okay.
He's probably hungover.
Yeah.
I see you got to the part in East 8 with the arcade as a big hole.
Oh, God. I am going to be on a tirade about that fucking game.
It's not a bad translation.
No,
It's just...
no, it's a terrible translation. It's Zone of the Enders too bad.
Ooh.
No, because like I've seen worse than Zone of the Enders too.
Oh,
So
I know.
it's not a bad translation, but for
No,
East it
hang on.
deserves better. For NIS can do better, and they haven't. So they've utterly failed themselves.
It is a genuinely bad translation. I've run across several lines that's like that just doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it's
It's not Sword Art Online level bad, but it's bad.
I mean, it's.
I mean, in that case, they used the Chinese translation, English
It
translation.
reads like a first draft.
It's almost as if they shipped the game without sending the final draft into the code.
Yeah, I mean, and to be perfectly honest, once the PC version hits, a friend of mine and I are going to work on re-editing it.
That's cool.
If only you could convince NISA to put that back into the PS4 and Vita versions.
That would be nice, but at least there will be a version that has a script that makes sense.
I don't think NISA is going to do it themselves.
Unlikely. But
I mean, like, there have been translation patches for Arno's Surge and Sword Art Online, but those are the only two I can think of.
Yeah, I don't know. It sucks because the game itself is fantastic. I love it, and like without reservation, it very well may wind up being my favorite game in the series. But it is really, really brought down by the absolute shit.
The thing that bothers me most is that stupid big hole and the fact that they use honorifics. When their character is from a civilization that doesn't use honorifics like that.
The fucking brother adult thing. And it's like, it's not uniformly bad. It's like, at best, it's okay. But it's mostly just like, actually, that's the weird thing is it started out, it's like, this is okay. It's serviceable.
The beginning and the end parts of the game are better than the middle part.
Yeah, because like right now where I am, I'm in chapter 5. I just got to the part with the ghost ship. And
there's like 2 chapters left. There's 6, and then there's the final chapter.
Yeah, and then yeah, I mean, I figured I was probably around like 2/3 the way, 3/4 the way, and
but chapter like 5 and 6 are really large chapters.
Yeah, I'm in chapter 5 now, so. But yeah, I mean, I love the game. It plays fantastically, and it's a lot of fun. And I like the. Well, I should say I will say that other than Laxia and Dana, I don't much care for the party members in this game.
I don't care for their designs mostly.
No, the designs don't bother me. It's just like their personalities. Just like, Sahad is.
Does East need characters that make fart jokes every 5 minutes?
Well, Sahad is meant to just be kind of this, not crass, but just, he's a sailor, and it's like, and that suits the personality. But it's like Hummel just strikes me as kind of bland, and Ricotta she's like, she's a cute
Typical lowly girl.
She has. Yeah, although she does have the best extra skill of anyone in the game. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Hers lasts longer and hits more than anyone else's.
All right, Break. Are you there?
Yeah, you can hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
On the voice acting side of things, I think that the villain at the end of chapter 3 could have been a bit more menacing.
All right, guys, I'm gonna get
the voice actor kind of fails that.
I'm gonna get the show started here. Okay, here we go. This is what, 459, episode 459. Yeah. Okay.
Although it is interesting that it's an ease game without an actual antagonist.
Eric, you ready? Okay, here we go. Hang on. Fuck. All right. Sorry, wrong one. Never mind. Hang on.
Yeah, we're ending this show. Let's go.
That's the end of the show. Thanks for everybody for coming. Fuck. All right, here we go. God damn it! Fuck.
Wait, shit's
that
all
was
fucked
right
today,
one.
isn't
That
it?
sounded right to me.
Yeah, but I didn't hit record on this goddamn thing, man. Fuck. All right, hang on, guys. What a day already. I had to scramble to get back here. Let's see. There we go. Intro. There we go. Outro. There we go. All right, guys, almost there. I promise. All right, here we go. Let me get this Skype out of here.
Pinky swear.
Pinky swear. All right, here we go, dudes. And welcome everybody to episode. Oh, son of a bitch! God damn it!
He's back.
And welcome to the end of the show, everybody. This has been RPGrinders, episode 459. Yeah, this is episode 459 of RPGrinders. I'm your host, Frank Branches, alongside my trusty cohorts, Eric the Great, Breakman the Bold, and the harmonica-laden frosty one himself, the Mug. God damn it.
That's
some
some
bullshit.
I heard.
You know what's worse is he made that sound like a fucking train. That's not allowed on this show.
Train made out of harmonicas or train full of harmonicas?
A train made by and powered by harmonicas.
Oh God, full of cops, and Trump is the conductor.
Cops guarding the aforementioned harmonicas.
Man, like cops wielding harmonica guns.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, we got tons of news, so let's delve into it. We've got tons to talk about today as well. I'm sure you guys have all paid attention to the news. But without further ado, Eric, why don't you go ahead and do the first two news stories, please?
Okay. First is that God Eater 3 has been officially announced by Bandai Namco, and it's going to follow in the same style as the previous game, so it's going to play like Monster Hunter. But there's going to be a simultaneous worldwide release for this one, like Code Vein. But you'll also finally be able to dual wield the God Arcs, which with gauntlets attached to both of your hands. Or at least this is one character that can do this. But I'm sure you'll be able to as well. But the God Arcs are like the weapons you use.
All right. Anything else on this, Eric?
No platforms or release date, but I'm gonna say PS4. and PC.
Okay. Well,
Maybe a Switch version. I don't think they're gonna do a Vita version this time though.
was nice of them to let us know what they were doing with this, which systems. But okay, what's the next story, Eric?
God Eater Resident Ops has been announced for smartphones.
Ooh.
And it's a free-to-play title with microtransactions, because of course.
Yeah, of course. What we can't do without the microtransactions nowadays.
You can pre-register now if you want.
Yeah, and
I'm sure this is for Japan. Who knows if it'll even get localized?
Yeah, it might not even get localized.
I was gonna say, did God Eater 2 come out here? I know the original did.
Yes.
Okay.
But
were they not?
The original, the original didn't, but it got released as a like a director's cut version for the PS4 and the Vita, because the original was a PSP game.
Yeah, it did. The original did come to the U.S. I have the original.
Yeah, and it was called God's Eater.
Yeah, God's Eater.
Yeah.
Yeah, God's Eater. I'm looking at the trailer, and it doesn't look too bad for a mobile game. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get this game over here. Maybe not. But
it looks slightly. It looks like it's turn-based this time, though.
Yeah. I didn't even get a chance to ask how all you guys were doing this week. How you guys doing this week? Breakman, how you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah. What about you, Mug?
Sure. Right.
Yeah, sure. Mug, how about yourself?
Fuck NISA.
We'll talk more about that in a bit. Yeah.
I'm more like, what's going on at NSA? Well, things used to be good, and now they're falling apart.
Well, it was fine. I never played an NISA game before. I got my first NISA game, and I was like, wow, they did one of the shittiest jobs I've seen in the past 20 years.
Hey, I see that.
And I'm surprised that they haven't. Well, probably because there isn't enough people playing East 8, but I'm surprised that they haven't responded to complaints about localization yet.
Donald Trump is in chat, everybody. Donald Trump is in chat.
Yeah, totally not MXT.
Yeah, it is not MXT.
I would be willing to bet that Trump is somehow behind the localization for East 8.
Yeah, I let's tie it in. We might as well blame him for everything else. He's who he is. But I'll be talking about that.
Did they say that things are going to be really great a lot in the game?
Actually,
it's going to be really great.
They did promise a good localization, but
they make NISA great again.
This will be the biggest and best thing we've ever seen.
Were they ever great?
Yeah. Donald Trump says Breakman is fake news too. I bet his kneeling.
At least this guy games weren't done
Trump, you know what's not fake news?
What's that? Oh, get the. I'm gonna hang up on you, man.
I'm not kneeling to do the show only when he plays harmonica. I kneel for harmonica.
I was gonna say I can just walk into the next room and play it at you. You can't get away from me that easily.
Hey, if you kneel under my desk, you can play that harmonica all you want, man. All right, let's move on to the next.
What?
You're not nearly as big as I like.
Breakman. Next story.
I'm sorry. I'm uncomfortable now. I need to go home.
You feel dirty?
Read the story.
Coming to us live from RPG site, The Witch in 100 Night 2 heading westward in 2018 for PlayStation 4. NIS America.
The Witch, the 200 Night?
Yeah. Go ahead, Break.
I'm sorry, I lost track. NIS America has announced the action RPG The Witch in 100 Night 2 is heading to North America and Europe next year for PlayStation 4. Sequel released earlier this year in Japan holds no direct connection to the first game in the series. The niche publisher also released a short announcement trailer and handful of screenshots from the Japanese version of the game. Niche. I like either one. I think it's a nice word.
Yeah.
In typical NIS America fashion, a limited edition will be available in North America for $79.99, exclusive from the publisher's online store. Box includes the game, a collector's box. Fuck, god damn, I hate those collector's boxes. What the fuck? They look stupid on my shelves.
I got a suggestion for NISA. Instead of doing all these collector's editions, maybe you could spend that money on a localization.
Yeah, that would be a good thought.
I want an editor.
Yeah.
nice and uniform, and they got to put these special boxes in there. But anyway, it comes with a hardcover art book. No indication as to how big. A 2-disc soundtrack, which sounds pretty good. 2 discs. Usually we get the best, their quote unquote best tracks. And usually you get 1 or 2 of the best tracks, and the rest of them are some of the weaker mixes.
Yeah.
A set of 9 metal label pins, because again, for some reason, the trend of 2017 is pins.
I like
and
pins,
a
man.
100 night stress ball. The stress ball, that's different.
Pins are cool.
One year it was stickers. Now it's pins.
Yeah, this year it's all pins. It's fucking crazy.
Pins are awesome. Freak
The
5.
only time I've ever bought an LE from NISA stores when it was for a game that only had a physical release through their store.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought the LE of the PS4 LE of East 8, and I mean it is a very nice limited edition
because I reviewed the PS4 version.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you've
seen the content.
Hold on, Eric.
The contents are very nice. I mean, they did a good job putting everything together. It's just like, as nice as this is, I would have traded it for a good localization.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more. In chat, we have Dungeon Buster and Freak 5 who just joined in. Welcome, fellas.
Freak, hi.
Oh, son of a bitch, man. I joined the show and hear Frank's theme song. I don't know what that's referring to.
That would be Jeff.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. Donald Trump says 2020 NES Classics for everyone who votes for me. Hey, not even the SNES Classics. It has to be the NES.
I would go for the SNES Classics.
2020 NES Classics is still not a lot of NES Classics.
How dare you, Breakman?
No, in 2020, he means like NES Classics for everyone.
Oh, God.
You know what?
Breakman's
None of these
exiled.
damn politicians do a shit for me, so I will vote for the guy who hooks me up with free Nintendos.
Oh God, not the
or
NES.
woman, or gender neutral, whatever. Whoever runs that wants to give me free Nintendo, you're cool.
Free Nintendo for life, man. You got to shoot for the moon, dude. Not shoot the moon.
I wouldn't bother with an NES Classic. I mean, most of those games are either better emulated elsewhere or they have the worst versions of those games on there.
Breakman's exile.
So basically, I'm saying I'm voting for Oprah next. Now that I think about it, I think this is a bad idea. I take that back.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah,
very
bad idea.
Oprah is an awful human being. Let's see. Breakman. Let's see. Breakman, you're exiled. Next story, Mug.
What? For that, I'm exiled?
No,
keep in mind that Frank is a delicate snowflake and he's very easily triggered.
You're exiled too, you son of a bitch.
Anyway,
Breakman's exiled for.
Just to illustrate my point. Coming to us live from RPG site.
Suck.
Neo Complete Edition coming to PC on November 7th. Koei Tecmo has announced that Samurai Action RPG Neo will make its way to PC via Steam next month with all DLCs included as Neo Complete Edition.
Ooh.
It includes the 3 expansions, Dragon of the North, Defiant Honor, and Bloodshed's End, and all the included weapons, characters, and guardian spirits. And it gives a link to the Steam page. And there's a really nice piece of artwork there.
Yeah,
I was second image on the page is really fucking nice.
Yeah, well,
PC release features a toggle between the 2 gameplay performance modes, similar to the PS4 version, PS4 Pro version of the game. Action mode will run the game at 60 frames per second, while movie mode will run the game at 4K resolution with a target of 30 frames per second. They have not provided more details on these modes, such as what resolutions are supported for action mode. As a small bonus to PC players, a new equipment item, the Dharma Chakra Kabuto helmet, will be given to those who buy the complete edition, and it looks like you have a faucet handle on the front of your helmet. It looks like a spigot handle.
Yeah.
If you scroll down to the page, it's a samurai helm with like the Oni mask and everything, but it has a fucking giant red 6-sided, spigot handle on it.
Yeah, it looks like the Valve deal. You know that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The Wheel of Dharma Kabuto is a form of Kawari Kabuto. Kabuto just means helmet. A family of helmets featuring fantastical designs. The helmet features a red lacquered front crest of an ancient Buddhist symbol depicting the eightfold path to Nirvana. That looks like 6. The holy image represents spiritual enlightenment attained by casting off one's worldly desires and also holds the power to banish evil. However, some claim this is not a Wheel of Dharma at all, merely a replica that looks like it said Zote belongs on a device to regulate steam.
I
Some
got.
countries have gone so
I'll
far
go
as to
one
say-
further.
Hang on, wait. Some have gone so far as to suggest renaming it to Valve Kabuto. But why anyone would make a helmet featuring a valve is unclear.
I would go one further. This is a digital rendering of a valve, not anything real like they're suggesting in this paragraph here. But it looks neat. I like the artwork and damn 4K resolution, man. That's
I don't know if my PC can handle this, but I requested review code, which is something I was able to do with the first Neo because the PR company behind this game wasn't really doing stuff for Koei Tecmo at the time.
Yeah. Freak Five's talking about some interesting stuff in chat.
I mean, they decided to unify their surveys for Xseed and Koei Tecmo, but that was something I guess when Neo released, it wasn't something that was considered a part of the same PR team.
We'll get to the politics later on, Freak 5. Dungeon Buster says, Neo's really good. I hope the complete version comes out for console too sooner than much later.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
There's literally no doubt that it will.
This is something else that we're getting, fellas. RPGsite.com tells us Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition releasing in December.
You know what else is Complete Edition? Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition.
Yeah.
And
it's like I'm glad I waited for not buying these games.
Yeah, like I didn't get Horizon Zero Dawn, and it's like I'll get the Complete Edition, and it's like I decided I'm not getting Shadow of War until the Complete Edition comes out.
Horizon Zero Dawn doesn't look interesting to me for whatever reason. I've seen this game played. I've seen lots of screenshots. It just doesn't seem like something
I wouldn't even buy Shadow of War on principle because Warner Brothers can fuck off.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like I'm not doing the loot box thing, and I will never buy a Warner Brothers game at launch again. I will wait for the Complete Edition.
Ooh, Dungeon Buster says Horizon Zero Dawn is also super good. Really enjoyed it, Frank.
All right,
I
I'll wait.
I know a few people who played through it and they like absolutely love it. I mean, it's it's tough, but it's really good. Basically, is the gist of it. It's kind of like in a Monster Hunter / Dark Souls open world sort of vein.
Yeah. Well, let me read about it, guys. It's coming out December 5th. The deluxe edition will be $49.99. For those who already own the game, Frozen Wilds will be available to download on November 7th for $19.99, $14.99 with PlayStation Plus. But it includes all of the following: art book, PS4 theme, Karja Storm Ranger outfit and Mighty Bow, Banuk Trailblazer outfit and Calling Bow, Bannock Traveler Pack, Karja Trader Pack, and Nora Keeper Pack. So there you go. That's all the bonuses
For
you're getting
$20, that's pretty damn. That's the full game and all the free shit.
No. $49 for all the free shit.
Oh, never mind.
I'll wait till it goes down to $29 or something.
I like $19.99. I'm like, come on, that sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't own a PlayStation 4, but I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah. All right. Next story, Eric.
Next story is about a game called Alcana. We talked about this before, but Alcana 4 Rhythm Across the Blue for the Switch launches March 29 in Japan.
What is this?
This is a visual novel.
Okay.
And it's one of the firsts for the Switch, so
yeah, that's cool.
I hope the game's successful and it leads to even more to the platform.
Yeah, I'm sure
maybe you'll get localized.
Yeah, if it comes over here, I'm sure Eric will.
I'm sure PQ will do it.
Is 4 Rhythm some musical cadence that I just don't understand, or is that just bad writing?
I have no idea what that is, man. 4 Rhythm. Maybe they mean
I think that's supposed to be rhythms, but.
Yeah, well, 4 Rhythms? I don't know.
4 Rhythms
one
would make
fourth time in
sense.
music, but that's not quite the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm no musical genius or expert or even half-wit, not even close.
Yeah. All right, next story. Let's go with Mug this time.
All right, coming to us live from Gematsu. Dust, an Elysian Tale developer announces Never Stop Sneaking! For Switch. And as Humble Hearts, the developer behind Dust, has announced the second title. It will launch this holiday. And here's the brief description. Can you believe it? That madman, Amadeus Guildenstern, okay,
I have
just
no
traveled
idea
through
why.
time and kidnapped all the U.S. presidents.
Oh God!
Infiltrate the enemy base, avoid their patrols, and hack their systems to gain valuable intel. Build your sneakin' HQ and figure out how to stop Guildenstern's time-traveling scheme. It has an announcement trailer.
Scheme seems bananas. I want to play it.
Yeah.
I know, it's just like the premise alone just makes me go, seriously? Okay.
It looks like a twin stick shooter, but you can play it stealthy if you want.
And then there's like some type of bullet hell element to it. It looks fun. This would be something.
They better make fun of the Metal Gear Solid part where they do the video game reading thing at some point.
Yeah. Freak 5 is drinking some type of girly micro brew in chat, apparently.
And the cardboard box has to probably be the best item in the game, ironically.
Yeah.
Whoa! I'm sorry, a girly microbrewery? What are you talking? You're dissing craft beer, Frank.
No, that's.
I'm gonna have to step in now.
No.
I can't have that.
No.
Dude,
I'm just looking.
That's sexist.
All right. Next story, Breakman. I'll give you an easy one.
Freak 5 Cast in chat asked if being premature is a normal probably for you, right? For me.
For you,
he's asking.
yeah.
Ask
Mrs.
So
Breakman.
next story coming to us from Gamatsu. The Flame and the Flood for Switch launches October 12th. The Flame and the Flood will launch for Switch via Nintendo eShop on October 12th. Yeah. Fucking goddamn it, Gamatsu.
Well, I guess they need to tell you if it was the eShop because sometimes it's like exclusive to the eShop.
Yeah, but they could have just,
said that.
Like fucking headline.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's stupid.
That's my problem. Your headline and your first sentence should not be the same.
I like
pretty
the
much
artwork.
with just like an added word.
Daily Mail kind of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty.
Okay, so here's about the game. The Flame and the Flood is a bleak. Sorry.
It's a break.
A
Bleak Man.
A Breakman inspired game.
He is now Bleak Man.
Yeah, Bleak Man.
I'll change that in chat soon. The Flame and the Flood is a bleak but beautiful roguelite set upon a treacherous, procedurally generated river. With the help of your trusty dog, Aesop, the Flame and the Flood task you to make the most of your surroundings by foraging, hunting, and scavenging your way through nature and the remains of society. With an evocative, homespun art style and lifting original soundtrack by Chuck Reagan, survival has never been this enjoyable. Okay.
That Chuck Reagan.
Drinking what's that?
I'm totally down. Chuck Reagan sounds like a porn name.
Chuck Reagan.
Oh, Chuck Reagan.
Chuck Reagan right in the fucking river.
Chuck Reagan right in the fucking river.
Okay, drinking the delicate beauty of
some conservative cornballs actually think Reagan's the best president of all time. or the best conservative president of all time, which is neither is true.
I know why they feel that way, but continue on, Breakman.
Drink in the
delicate... They're too stupid to realize that he screwed over everybody and started the chain of events that led to corporatism.
Let him finish. Go ahead, Break.
Drinking the delicate beauty of post-societal America before the perils of reality begin to bite. Don't laugh at me, Frank. I read half of that sentence 3 or 4 times. Damn it. Wild animals, the natural elements, and the great winding river all pose unique threats in a game where survival is achieved through a mix of smarts and resourcefulness. Playing as an intrepid wandering scout, you must feed and clothe yourself from the land and whatever else you find along the way. Oh, great. You're going to use fig leaves for penis cover, right? Craft equipment and traps upgrade
way ahead of
rapids, all set against the stark majesty of the game's forgotten world. The Flame and the Flood first launched for Xbox One and PC on February 24th, 2016.
Yeah. Freak 5 makes
there's more, but screw it.
Freak 5 makes a good point in chat. He says, LOL, I wish FEMA officials would tell the churches that want it to aid that they're giving them thoughts and prayers. Yeah. We'll be talking about.
Yeah, the problem is, thanks to Comer versus Trinity Lutheran, it's very likely that they'll get it.
Ugh, they're disgusting.
Geez, so much for separation.
You know what's
I know.
Yeah,
that's the thing. What people don't realize is Comer versus Trinity Lutheran is a landmark decision.
Yeah, and that
It's a
sucks.
massive, massive blow to the foundations of the Operation Turkey.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a little bit happier news, hopefully, guys. Roguelike dungeon crawler Tangle Deep coming to Switch in early 2018.
I dig how this looks.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm down.
It looks a lot different from what I originally saw.
Yeah, I'm sure they changed the art style quite a bit.
I think it looked more like a pixely type of game.
Yeah, it's a dungeon crawling tribute to the golden age of RPGs, inspired by the lively visuals and music of such classic games as Secret of Mana and Chrono Trigger. Strategic turn-based gameplay combines the accessibility and polish of these games and draws from a rich history of roguelikes from NetHack to Sharon the Wanderer and even modern dungeon crawlers like Diablo. Players can approach the titular ever-changing labyrinth in a myriad of ways, using the game's robust character job system and huge assortment of equipment to create a game like every other roguelike you've ever played in your life. No, I just added that.
At least they're not doing the generic as hell and tired chip tunes from the NES era.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me some SNES, Super Nintendo, and PC Engine theme tunes.
Tangle Deep soundtrack is also highly notable.
How about we go with some monotone Genesis tunes too?
Oh God.
I just said that. Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear you say Mega Drive. I'm sorry.
Featuring two
I was
styles, an
joking.
authentic retro SNES version and a modern version with beautiful orchestration and live recorded instrumentalists, largely including music written by Andrew Zircon Aversa, the game's programmer.
As soon as you said Andrew, I was thinking Dice Clay.
Andrew Dice Clay did the
Did you ever
programming
see
and
that
designing
movie
of this
he
game.
did with Terry Hatcher?
Was it
No,
Fort
it
Fairlane?
sounds awful already, but
Yeah, it was one of those movies. It's like so bad. It was like, wow, this is
Kind
pretty
of like
bad. It's-
Vanilla Ice and Cool as Ice.
Actually,
God.
break instead of the Genesis sound chip, they could just use the Yamaha because that's basically that, but it's better.
you know,
well, I was joking
the
about
Genesis
using
sound-
Sega because
yeah.
it was monotone.
you know what?
The Yamaha, rather, the sound chip in the Genesis was the Yamaha chip. It was like a FM.
Yeah, it was a
or
lower grade
something like
version
that.
though.
You know what movie with Andrew Dice Clay that they should make a sequel to? None ever.
Dude, seriously, the plot of the movie was him fighting ninjas.
Oh, yeah, that sounds.
Okay, which movie was this? What was the name?
I don't remember what it was called.
Oh, no.
It's one of those
Terry
movies
Hatcher.
so bad. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe they made this.
You know, there was some
need to
funny
see that.
lines in Fort Fairlane that I like quite a bit, but anyways, so yeah, early 2018 for the Switch, Tangle Deep. So everybody that loves roguelikes will probably like this one. Mug, next story, please.
All right.
Spelunky.
Coming to us live from Gematsu. I'm skipping the headline because, yay. Marvelous has announced Bokujo Monogatari Futago no Mura Plus for DS. It is an updated version of the 2010 released DS title, which was called Harvest Moon, The Tale of Two Towns. It will launch on December 14th for 3,980 yen in Japan. At the start of the game, players can select between types such as I like animals and I like fishing. The game's controls have been improved, making it more comfortable to play. Newly added Street Pass support can also send items to other players. It is now, like editor's note, the Bokujo Monogatari series, formerly known as Harvest Moon, is now published by Exceed Games in the West under the name Story of Seasons. Natsume's Harvest Moon has become its own series as of 2014's Harvest Moon: The Lost Valley.
Which I got confused initially because I saw people calling it Harvest Moon. I was like, why you do this?
Yeah.
And that's what prompted me to say Natsume should just give up on Harvest Moon.
I made a mistake. I should have made Breakman read that title. But anyways,
I thought Harvest Moon was a good seller because I'm always seeing those games coming out every few years.
Yeah, they're good sellers.
Natsume has tried to make it its own thing, but they haven't been very successful.
Freak5 says we need a mascot dating game. He also says ass spelunking. That's
Penguin
Freak5
shit, you ass spelunker.
All right, Breakman, next story.
What is that from?
It's from South Park.
South
Bigger,
Park.
Longer,
That's
and
right. That's right. Yes. I remember now.
Dare
As
you.
started saying South Beat. Yes.
Eat penguin shit, you ass spelunker. Yeah.
All right, break.
That's the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Was that Terrence and Phillip?
He said
No, that was
anus.
it was
Hanky.
Mr. Mackey. Was
Oh yeah,
reading the
Mr.
line.
Mackey.
What he got in trouble? What the Eric said
Like,
or something?
yeah, like the air. It's like he was reading off like Eric. It says here that you said eat penguin shit, you ass spelunker.
I'm surprised they haven't done another South Park movie.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
think they
surprised
want
too.
to do another South Park movie.
I think it's more that they've been busy doing so many other things. Like they've got the Broadway thing. They've done 2 video games now. Like they've just been really busy.
Yeah.
I think they will probably do another movie at some point, but
Probably end the series, maybe.
yeah, probably not for years, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway, coming to us live from Gamatsu, Grisaya, Phantom Trigger Volume 1 and 2 for PS Vita. It launches December 21st in Japan. So you get both games? Well,
Yeah, that's not bad.
I just wish that The Simpsons had ended with The Simpsons film, because that was a terrible movie.
We've talked about Grisaya ad nauseum.
I only saw
here,
parts of the Simpsons movie. I never saw it.
Yeah, we don't need to do the synopsis of this this game. Let's move on to the next story.
Yeah, there's a lot too.
Although it's a sequel to the Eden Grisaya, so you might want to play the other first too before you play this one.
Yeah. So anybody in Japan, this is launching on December 21st for 4,000 yen, or you can download it for 3,600 yen. That's interesting. That's another game I've seen that they sell cheaper online than they do in the store, because that doesn't really happen here in America.
Yeah.
Also,
unless there's some sort of sales.
Yeah.
Japan doesn't have an MSRP, so they could sell a game for whatever they want.
Mm. There's definitely like that was a lawsuit at one point.
Yeah.
Trying to sell a game cheaper online, like that would make a lot of publishers angry. No, I don't think it turned into a lawsuit. It was a threat of a lawsuit, I think.
Damn, I thought we were going to get a lawsuit. Konami got on my ass for playing like a 16-second snippet of I think it was Zone of the Enders. I talked to Mug about it a little bit off air, but man.
Because they don't want people to look at the low quality of your video and think they're not going to buy the VR game.
How is it low quality? I put it full quality. Like that, it's just stupid. Like it was dumb.
It's just the content ID thing.
It's stupid, is what it
That
is.
and YouTube's algorithms suck gigantic ass.
They do.
I'm sorry.
If you want to blame anybody for it, blame Viacom.
No, I'm not blaming anybody. You know what I'm doing?
Yeah, Viacom is the reason that Content ID is a thing on YouTube.
No, I understand that, but
Viacom.
Guess what?
There's a question. I have a question for Freak 5 Chaos in chat. Exactly how long have you been listening to last week's episode?
I think I am live on the show now. I don't know.
Yeah, he was apparently listening to last week's episode, so I think he's just now tuning in to what we've been saying.
Oh, damn, man. He clicked on a video instead of the live stream.
Yep, he just realized Mug's on.
He just joined us. That's funny as hell. He's been
one beer and he's already drunk. I'm not the lightest weight here. Nice.
About the Konami thing, they put in, I know it's a YouTube algorithm or whatever, but I disputed it. So hopefully we win that on a couple of
There's
our
also
videos.
demonetization that's a part of the algorithm too.
No, but see,
I have such childhood memories of Konami that I so want to support them.
I know.
It's so hard, you know?
It is. It is.
I can't, the Konami.
Pirate Zone of the Enders 2 VR.
Yeah.
The thing is, Konami is no longer the company that we grew up with.
Nope.
I know, but it's so hard.
I just wish it would stop pretending it is.
Hang on, Eric.
Hang on a second. Like, I will buy Zone of the Enders on PS4 because it is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
And I want, and I will, that is a game that I will always support because it's like I was actually watching this thing where someone described it as the least overrated game of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That pretty much is. It's like, this is a fantastic game, but it's like, and it should be one of those games that people talk up all the time, that everyone should be like, and that so that hipsters can go like, oh, that game is so overrated.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a fucking fantastic game that no one bought.
Yeah, it is a good game, no question. I played a little of it. I had it on the PS2, but I'd like to get a remastered version on the PS4 as soon as I can get a PS4. Yeah.
Hey, after what was it? Hexadrive. After they brought in Hexadrive to fix the PS3 version, the PS3 HD collection is actually really nice.
Yeah.
I have
I don't
the
know if they ever
360 version.
Yeah, they
I don't know
did
if they ever
have.
patched that one.
Yeah. But anyways,
Well,
all right.
I didn't have too many issues with it, but in that one level where you're like fighting a bunch of things at once, it does have some slowdown, but it's not enough to deter my experience.
Yeah. All right, Mug, next story, please.
All right, coming to us live from the site which must not be named. ARPG Goken powers players up with their choice of tattoos. The hero grows stronger depending on the tattoos you give them. Having grows stronger, based in great. You say grows stronger twice in the same fucking sentence.
I know, it's so
In
stupid.
various ways based on body art. I mean, that's just exactly. Okay, hang on.
Yes.
Pause.
Yes.
Hero
Tattoos,
grows stronger
tattoos.
depending on the tattoos you give them. Comma, having them grow stronger in various ways based on body art.
Yeah.
In what way is that not exactly the same thing?
It's definitely
In this
redundant.
ARPG, the gods had given a swordsman 5 swords in Goken, 5 blades, 5 swords, and with which the swordsman brought peace to the world. Afterwards, though, those weapons turn on the gods, causing them to seal the swordsman away. Now, 5,000 years later, players take on the role of another warrior to fight in isometric combat. In this world of magic swords and deities, players can equip 2 weapons at once, 2 buttons, allowing them to put together their own weapon combinations to allow for unique combos. Okay, these will let players craft the play of their own style, but certain bosses, stages, and scenarios will require they use specific weapons, so it will help if players get used to them all. Goken's hero grows stronger over the course of the adventure, doing so through tattoos. Again, each of these tattoos has different stat-building properties as well as new special moves, so depending on the art they place, they will develop in different ways. Now, this could be neat, but I think it's honestly hindered by the fact that this looks like it's a 2D game, because if you're doing something like that where you're visually altering the character, it's 3D would be more apt for that just because you can visually alter the way the character looks accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
But the sound of on the surface of it, it sounds like it could have potential. I'd have to see how
I'm looking at the I put on the trailer while you were doing the story, Mug, and it looks really good. Looks fairly polished and fun. So I would look forward to playing this game. Nice action RPG with a nice little tattoo twist. So that's really cool. I dig it. It's got a nice art style, good flow. It looks like. Hopefully the game plays as well as it looks. So there you go.
Yeah, the animation looks nice.
Yeah.
It looks like it's all pre-rendered stuff that they've turned into sprites.
Yeah, but still, I mean, a lot of work's been done on this game. You can tell, man. I mean, even if
it looks nice.
Yeah. All right, next story, Breakman.
Coming to us live from Silicon Era, Fear Effect Sedna heading to the Nintendo Switch. Oh,
are you sure that that's not a typo? It's like a Fear Effect Kia Sedona.
Yeah, exactly.
So more news coming regarding Fear Effect, a kickstarted installment in the series from Sushi and Squenix. Sushi, huh? The game will now be coming to the Nintendo Switch as well as PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. The game also has an updated release window. It will now be coming out in early 2018. It initially had a May 2017 launch window, so more than likely it'll get pushed back again at some point. In Fear Effect Sedna, players follow Hana, Rain, Decky, and Gloss as they find themselves. Deke? Sorry.
To be fair, it's not. That's a reasonable. It's not an unreasonable assumption to assume it's like Deke, considering it's all Japanese.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen Zeke before, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yes, but we also have a name like Hana.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Hannah. Yeah. I could see that being made.
It's Hannah.
Hannah. All right.
The only time I've ever seen Hannah, though, is when it's with 2 N's.
Yeah. Put a hand on my lap. Anyways,
the female version of Han Solo, Hannah Solo.
Yeah. I'd like to see Hannah Solo.
So they find themselves tasked with a whole new mission. Well, shocking. It's a new game. It's a new mission. What a shock. Hannah's been set to get a statuette, but I'm just going to call her Hannah. Hannah
Montana.
Hannah is sent to get a statuette, but then finds herself caught up in an adventure that takes her to the North Pole. There will be a tactical action, plenty of puzzles, and the Inuit folklore and legends.
That's kind of cool.
So the Inuit, Native American Inuit, I'm guessing is what they mean.
Maybe
as opposed to
Eskimo.
the native non-American.
No,
Inuit they're like an Eskimo tribe.
Yeah, Eskimo. Yeah.
Oh, is that what? Oh, that's Inuit.
Think Alaska.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
And the latest Kickstarter update. Sorry, Inuit.
They wear mucklucks.
Social. You have to kiss with your noses. Sushi confirmed the production phase of the project is finished. Forever Entertainment is now completing the console versions, and Squinix is doing quality assurance testing.
Maybe there'll be a special Shadow Moses DLC.
Kind of blasphemy as Freak 5 talking about in chat.
But the Kickstarter only raised about 100,000, so
Yeah,
that means that most of the money is coming from Square Enix.
Oh yeah, no question about that. But cinnamon roll Oreos.
They probably just needed that money to prove that there was interest.
Yeah.
Do they have Rickroll Oreos?
Rick.
I had apple pie Oreos, and I felt like I got rickrolled. God, they're nasty.
That does sound gross.
Yeah, I know. That's nasty, man. Hey,
I had
Mug.
Buy ones.
Yeah, Mug. What about the next story? Oh, sorry.
God damn it! I knew it as soon as I said it. I
What?
knew he was gonna do that at some point.
What? Mug. Next story.
Okay, I didn't see that there was more stories after that.
But like, it sounded funny in my head, and I really wanted to say it, but I was afraid of the consequences.
Never gonna give you up, Brace Man. Never gonna give you up. That's.
I'm going to go into the next room and punch the shit out of you.
All right, next story, Mug.
Play Chrono or Robo Statement said, please. It's pretty much that, but better.
It's like,
I
dude,
think. Okay, I got it.
Freebird!
I got it.
All right.
Here we
Coming
go.
to us live from the site
Oh, sorry.
not be named. Fall of Light draws from Dark Souls for its challenge, but with the added difficulty of having to keep their daughter Aether safe as they deal with the,
Oh
with
boy,
the cunning
that
beast.
does not.
Comparing to
sound
me,
Well,
Dark
that
Souls
is-
is loaded.
Yeah.
Dark Souls, meets escort mission.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I
Players
know
act
exactly.
Nyx, a retired warrior in a realm shrouded in darkness. There's only one place left in the world where the sun still shines. Praise the sun. And Nyx needs to bring his incandescent daughter to that place. Monsters and intelligent warriors, incandescent, like she's on fire.
Yeah.
Monsters and intelligent warriors lurk in the darkness along the way, though, and each of them more than capable of taking out a distracted aging fighter on their own. Players will be able to use a variety of battle stances, like dual-handed, two-handed, or dual-wielding, and weapons of various fighting styles to beat back the monsters, as well as a handy rolling dodge to stay out of harm's way.
Yeah.
While using these items and skills will help keep the player alive, their daughter also needs to be kept safe, so players will need to stay aggressive to keep monsters focused on them. Aether can help the player in her own way throughout Fall of Light. Her light will unlock many passages throughout the game, and is also what will help players find hidden areas and secrets that will give them the power they need to complete their journey. Fall of Light is available now on Steam.
Yeah. No fucking
Sounds like
way.
more like Diablo meets Ico.
This sounds like a headache waiting to happen for anybody that plays it. Like, I am not interested in. I mean, it looks okay. Actually, it's kind of drab looking, but the thought of doing escort missions with Dark Souls intensity, fuck that. I'm good. You know, Dark Souls, and Dark Knolls. It's
Dark
sequel.
Knolls.
Dark Knolls, 1969. Yeah, but no, I am not interested at all in playing this game. Most of the times I'm very optimistic, even if it's a strategy RPG, that'll be really good, but maybe somebody can tell me I'm wrong and it's a great game, but this is not high on my priority list for sure. High on my priority list is the next story. This comes to us from
Brakeman, what do you mean pseudo-lesbianism? Fear Effect 2 did have lesbianism in it.
Oh, was it the first one that had the pseudo one then?
I wouldn't know.
Okay, like one of them they kept like heavily insinuating, but never actually going.
Yeah, I never played either of the Fear Effect games, but I remember seeing the advertising for Fear Effect 2, and it's just like, oh yeah, this is lesbian stuff. I mean, they were not. It was not subtle.
Yeah, maybe it's the first one I'm thinking of then, like where they're trying to use that like as one of the pushes of the game. Like, here, look, like it might happen.
One.
It was kind of like Cool World. Remember that?
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
There-
You remember, like
there-
one of the big things was just like maybe you get to see your tits. Is basically what the entire gist of the advertising for that movie.
Yeah.
I hate that movie.
Yeah, it's not good.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's not
It
very
is
good.
such a fucking terrible, boring,
Yeah, it's slog.
shit movie.
Yeah.
Well, Ralph
I
Bakshi
don't
is not known
understand
for
what's
quality
even happening
entertainment.
in that movie.
Yeah, let's move on to the next story that hopefully isn't shitty. Magic potion destroyer requires smart potion to God damn. Smart potion use to escape a witch. Claudia has
Well,
been
the thing when it comes to the title, like
Yeah.
Gauntlet said it best: "Don't shoot a potion."
Yeah. Claudia has been trapped in a witch's mansion for 3 years, but her brother, afflicted with a lethal poison, she means
Weasel.
to finally escape using the potion crafting skills she gained over years of imprisonment in Magic Potion Destroyer. Claudia, players will God damn it, I'm having Breakman syndrome today. Players will guide Claudia through the mansion's halls, battling the monsters they come across on their way out. I'm sounding like I'm reading like Donald Trump speeches or something, man. Claudia can use magical abilities to wipe these creatures out over the game's 30 floors, but soon players will need her to get stronger. To do this, they can use mana reinforcement, which boosts some of her stats at the cost of MP. MP is gained by defeating monsters, but it's also used in her attack, so players will have to take care not to use too much at the wrong time. Oh boy. All of Claudia's powers can be drastically enhanced through using magic potions as well, increasing attack, defense, allowing her to use special abilities as I drop my phone. Taking certain actions throughout the game will give her memories back, unlocking a potion along with them. These will paint a picture of what happened to put Claudia in her current situation, as well as lead her towards one of the game's 5 endings. So it's available now on Playism and Steam. So there you go. I didn't look at the video. I should put it on right now. Anybody have any
The
thoughts?
sprites look like they're lifted out of an RPG Maker game.
Yeah, it's looking a little rough. Like, and it looks kind of boring, to be honest with you. Very, very straightforward type deal. All right. Breakman, next story, please.
Coming to us live from Silicon Era, swappable heroes offer unique powers in cute Metroidvania Omega Strike. As players explore a cute yet still dangerous world of Metroidvania Omega Strike, they'll need to swap their 3 available fighters in and out, making use of unique powers they possess in order to explore and fight. That sort of sounds like Lost Vikings. But puzzle solve. But that was all puzzle solving as opposed to fighting.
Yeah, this looks good. Actually, go ahead.
Omega Strike pits. This doesn't actually look anything like Lost Vikings. I'm just saying that paragraph made it sound like it.
Yeah.
Omega Strike pits players against the soldiers, cyborgs, mutated animals, and huge war machines of Dr. Omega across 7 interconnected areas. Taking cues from the lighthearted look of games like Metal Slug, these foes will all look a little bit silly and fun, but will still offer a high challenge for careless players.
Yeah, looks fun. Another Metroidvania. Looks good.
Omega Strike features multiple routes through its maps, as well as hidden places that will offer players new abilities and weapon upgrades should they use the right fighter and moves to reach them. This is why it's useful to be able to switch between Sarge, Bear, and Dex. The game's 3 playable characters, as each of their own attacks and mobility-based moves, so they all offer unique ways to tackle a given area. It will be
Jeez, let me guess. Dex is the speedster.
Yeah, I know.
And Bear's the strong guy, yeah. It will be up to the player to decide when best to use each one of them, yeah.
Yeah, and then like Dexter turns into Dexter, the TV show. That'd be cool.
Or
cool.
you know, Dexter from Space Ace.
Yeah. Or All right, that's enough on that. I looked at the trailer. Looks fun. Check that game out. I want to do the last story, guys, because I think this is going to be a blast. Stranger Things. The game is a retro take on the series. Comes to us from Silicon Era. Netflix has decided to do something a little unexpected when it comes to preparing people for the second season of Stranger Things. It has worked with Bonus XP to release Stranger Things the game for Android and Apple iOS devices, which means it's probably going to be terrible. It's an entirely free game that features multiple player characters, each with their own abilities. It's an action RPG that shares some things in common with the classic Super NES game like Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, such as the ability to traverse a detailed overworld and use various weapons and items to complete challenges. There are puzzles to solve, enemies to outwit. Fortunately, characters have different skills that can come in handy. As an example, Nancy uses bats. Lucas has a wrist rocket. Oh boy. The game also features leaderboards and collectible eggs and gnomes. So what do you guys think of Stranger Things the video game?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Probably never play it.
Yeah,
It's on iOS right now, isn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
I like that it's like this old school type game.
Yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me, looking at it, in a weird way, kind of reminds me of Earthbound.
Yeah, I
Just
could see
because it's
that.
more like in a modern setting, I guess.
Yeah, I could see that. And the first chapter's called The Lost Boys. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be Lost Boys? That's cool. I'll check it out. I'll get it on iOS later and tell you guys about it next week. But that is the end of the news for this week, fellas. So what do you think about that? We got all that news out in the first hour. I can't believe we did it.
That's all it is.
Yep, no homie discounts this week. Any Twitter questions or comments, Breakman?
As a matter of fact, there actually are, thank God, because it's been,
a couple of
weeks at this point.
Yeah.
Eric was talking to somebody at Boot Hill Heroes. We at RPGrinders will always be willing to promote the series.
Yeah,
and its new game, Boot Hill
autocorrect fucked
Felonies.
that up and now it just says Prom.
Yeah, I was correcting that for you. But there's also something else. We have a new, and we haven't done this in a very long time, but we have a new Would You Rather.
Ooh. Oh boy.
And it's from you know who. Chad.
Freak 5 Chaos.
Yes, and Free 5 Cast. Before I do his Would You Rather, I'd like to promote for him real quick. Him and Zombies Anonymous. His show is coming up on their 100th episode. He wants you to send your favorite moment from the show, as you can get entered into a drawing for prizes. So far, there are no entries.
Oh, no entries? I'll have to come up with my best clip and give it to him. Maybe after the show I'll do that. Probably not. All right, Freak 5. Zombies Anonymous, make sure to check that show out. iTunes and everywhere else you can download songs. Presumably songs and podcast and stuff like that. Go ahead, Break.
Would you rather
Yes.
have sex with Donald Trump
Oh.
or your dead grandmother?
I would
my God.
fuck the shit out of Donald Trump and I would make it hurt.
You're gonna hate fuck him, aren't you?
Oh, fuck yeah.
You know, I saw this porn one time where the guy was like hate fucking this girl and he shoved her head in the toilet while he was doing it.
That's very common.
I'm just giving you an idea.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is. By the way, here's this.
I did not beat off to that porn, by the way. I'm just saying I saw it.
You see this unflushed
I would
toilet?
like to get that thought out of everybody's minds now. I did not enjoy it in that way.
How about a how about a shit swirly?
Oh, that's nasty, man.
Are you saying he doesn't deserve it?
Oh, fuck yeah, he deserves it. I was thinking more of the long lines. I saw a video one time of this dude, like, you couldn't tell what it was at first, but it was a dude that was sitting on one of those, like, ring toss games for toddlers or babies, you know? And he was sitting on the whole thing, and as it was going up, like, it was close up, and you really didn't know what it was until the very end, and you're like, oh, how could I have watched that? But I did.
You should do a carrot and a stick type of thing with Donald Trump, where you just lure some like gold bars in front of him and then just take it away at the last minute.
Well, see, now to lure Donald Trump, you need a private jet and underage girls, and then he'll be there. Yeah. Check out Death Op Eaters, man. They got some interesting stuff on Donald Trump and the Lolita Express and the Weinsteins and a bunch of other fucking crazy ass people. But all right, let's see. Okay, so we didn't finish. Mug, you're going for Trump. What about you, Eric?
What was the question again?
Would you rather fuck Donald Trump or your dead grandmother?
That sounds totally gross either way, but I'd rather be someone who I didn't like.
Yeah.
Because then I could hate fuck them, I guess.
But see, he didn't really specify like what type of sex. So technically, I could have like get a like.
But this is Freak 5, so maybe I should just select to the 5th.
So what Frank is trying to say is he wants to have slow, sensual sex with Donald Trump.
No, I was thinking more of the if by slow sensual sex you mean buying a giant black dildo and sticking it up his ass. That's there you go.
Like it's one of those double dongs, like you're gonna be on the other side. Oh man, why'd you say
ass to ass?
Yeah. Yeah, but see, one end would be in your mouth, Breakman. See, that's how it would go.
It also has a secret button that you could press that launches spikes.
Spikes on both ends. No, we don't want to kill Breakman. We just just on one side.
Yeah, just on Donald Trump's side.
Yeah, there you go. So what are you picking?
No, they're tiny spikes. I mean, they hurt, but they won't kill anybody.
Yeah, Breakman, what are you picking?
Freak says in chat, I had to make your grandmother dead, otherwise you would all say your grandmother because she is dead and she would be alive again.
Yeah.
I know one of my grandmothers died when I was really young, so she'd be like a skeleton. I don't know if I could even fuck a skeleton. Like, is that even possible?
You
Like,
could pretend.
Yeah.
well, I mean, like, how
anything is possible.
Oh my god.
I made a tweet this week about it's time for fucking spooky.
That's the name
it's
of the
basically
episode.
a bunch of skeletons screwing each other.
That's the name of the show.
With enough lube, anything is possible.
With enough lube, anything is possible, according to Mug. Oi, oi, oi. All right. Anything else, Break?
No, I guess we're all fucking Donald Trump because the other option's like almost impossible. So, unless you got enough lube. I guess. Well, you know what? I'm gonna fuck one of these skeletons, and I'm gonna find out how much lube it takes.
Oh God! Oh.
That way I can say it's a science experiment.
Freak said you could fuck the eye hole.
Oh my goodness, man! You guys are awful. All right. So what have you been playing, Breakman? Fucking skeletons, probably.
Playing with myself, apparently. And then the same old Fallout and Final Fantasy Record Keeper and Plants vs. Zombies. Nothing new, so we can just move on.
Long time, I've been playing with myself.
Oh my god. Mug, what have you been playing?
Well, I finished playing Samus Returns, and I've got a review for that in a little bit. And but this past week, all I've been playing is East 8.
East 8, okay. What about you, Eric?
Just a little bit of Color X Malice, but mostly Etrian Odyssey 5.
Cool.
Writing a review for that for Totally GN.
Yeah. I've been playing, obviously, MPQ, but a little bit of Samus Returns and Salt and Sanctuary, of course. So that's the extent of my gaming this week. We do have some reviews, so let's go with Mug and your review of Samus Returns. And I thought it was going to be the new Blade Runner. I was going to be like, I don't want to be here if it.
I don't want
now
to
and not Stanko's.
Yeah. What's that?
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I definitely want to see Blade Runner, so I don't want to know anything.
Yeah. No, he's.
Well, no, I haven't. I'm talking about the first one, which I only watched for the first time 4 days ago.
Yeah, the final.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know how I'd like that movie now. Is like.
Oh, it's still good.
And I will touch on that.
Well, it's not that it's not still good to me because I really enjoy going back and watching it now. It's just.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Regarding Samus Returns, the quick and the quick and easy review is, yeah, it's good. It's not great.
Oh, you son of a bitch! How can you're exiled? Go
What?
ahead. Go ahead. I guess. I
No,
guess.
well, the thing is, it does a lot of things right.
Yeah.
It does several things very wrong.
Like what?
Um, One of the things, like it control, like it's the moment to moment gameplay of it, like is very good. The the controls are they're snappy. Samus is very responsive. It's very much of the cut from the same cloth as like Zero Mission and Metroid Fusion in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the the level layouts that they change things around, and like the level layouts that they put together are a little convoluted. Especially like once you get to area 3, you can very easily wind up just kind of being like, okay, where the fuck am I supposed to go now? Um, but one of the problems that I have with it is, like, I like the melee counter system as a mechanic. I'm not sure it works great for Metroid, but then a part of that is because of the fact that essentially every single enemy that you encounter rushes at you the moment it's on screen, which gives the game a very start and stop sort of feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the fact that there's really only about like 7 or 8 types of enemies in the game. You just get like palette swapped versions of them later on, that have like some slightly different things. Where like one of these
More health or
flying
go
things.
faster.
Yeah, and like one of the problems that the melee counter system is, it's neat and it's very functional, but one of the problems is they really, 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 really want you to use it. So fighting enemies, just by like the 360-degree aiming, I think is a fantastic addition. Something the series has been kind of yearning for a while. But the thing is, if you don't use the melee counter to fight enemies, until you finally get the plasma beam, all the enemies are very, very spongy.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can shoot, like you'll wind up shooting an enemy like what should take like 2 or 3 shots will take you a good 10 or 12, and that's just for basic enemies. Um, Unless you do the melee counter, in which case you can take them out with a single shot.
Yeah, you have to learn that melee counter. I've noticed, and I don't
Yeah,
have the
and
timing down yet.
I mean,
it's like
this
I
is
don't have the
especially
problem.
worse in boss fights, where if you miss it, then they'll repeat the entire pattern, and you might not
Yeah.
get an opportunity to attack them until they do it again.
Oh, I
Like
hate that.
there is a lot more. That's one thing. The game is a lot more about waiting. It kind of has Ocarina of Time syndrome in that regard.
Yeah.
There's the the structure that they put in place for like how you unlock the next area and everything. It's just like, it's a little weak. The whole thing where you're collecting Metroid DNA to unlock the thing to move the acid and all that kind of stuff. It's like, that's an okay explanation for it, I guess. Um, like it was never something that they addressed in the original game. But one thing, like the game actually looks quite nice. I mean, it is a 3D game on 6-year-old hardware, so it's a little rough around the edges in spots. Um, but like one thing that it does have, some of the nicest looking 3D you'll actually see on the system. Like the backgrounds and stuff look very like the 3D is very deep. Like it gives the impression of like there's a whole world beyond like this flat plane that you're seeing. One thing though that it does kind of detract from, the game doesn't it's really missing the atmosphere of the original. The atmosphere of the original was, it was bleak, and it was meant it doesn't have the same sense of isolation that Metroid typically tends to.
Mm.
And the one of the problems is, since it is a remake of Metroid 2, it's subject to some of the same problems that Metroid 2 was subject to, in that like the little mini boss fights with the Metroid, they do get really repetitive.
Yeah.
Even though like there's the individual Metroids they'll change them up a little bit and stuff, but it's still you're still fighting like 20 of these Alpha Metroids, and it does get a little tedious. But I mean, that's like it's adapting Metroid 2. I mean, it's kind of part of the DNA of the game. But it's my overall opinion of it is that it's I'm glad that I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that they put it out. But I would not be sorry to see the game rebalanced and the melee system taken out.
Yeah, I actually would agree with the melee part of it from what little I played. Like, to get the timing down on that, like, it just has to be. I mean,
Well,
is
the
there?
timing's not that hard. It's just that the game is way too focused on it.
No,
You
I
know, it should
actually.
be a useful ability, but it shouldn't be. It is, you know, the melee
One that
counter
you have
is
to
the core.
rely on like a
Yeah,
crutch.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, the melee counter is the core of the game
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
combat in that game, and
yeah.
it's like that doesn't feel like Metroid.
Yeah.
It's like they saw their M and says, "Oh, the countering is so cool. Let's do
Yeah,
this."
I mean,
Yeah.
and it is cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the fact that, I mean, if they were going to balance it, they should have made it so that you get, maybe it's like, maybe if you counter, you know, you can take enemies out with you know, like here's an idea, just a quick and simple idea for how to balance it. Make it so that you can take enemies out with, say, 4 or 5 shots. You know, it's not where they're not super spongy, but if you do the melee counter, then you get and then you can do it in a single shot, and you get more pickups that way.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. The it's
Also, in the boss fights, you have to shoot a missile in order to enact the counterattack. Otherwise, you won't get it. Like if you like wait a couple seconds, you lose your opportunity.
well. What I noticed is the timing's a little different on all the enemies, so that's what I'm having a hard time with. I'm like, I can't.
Just look for the flash. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is like, as soon as you see the flash, hit the counter.
No,
Then
I
I
haven't.
also kind of wish at some point during the actual final battle, you could use normal missiles. Like you shoot off the armor, and they can use normal missiles. But no,
Yeah, well,
normal missiles are
what's
useless
funny
in
is,
that
like,
fight.
the final, you know, yeah, I mean, they are, but the final fight was, people were like, oh, it was hard. I'm like, that was actually, like, I didn't die in that fight at all.
It took me a couple tries to learn the pattern.
It took me, like, when I fought, you know, the other major non-Metroid boss, you know, to avoid spoilers. That one took me several tries, and there's one part of it later, the chase sequence bit at the end. I was just like, I fucking hate this part of the game because it's just trial and error memorization.
Oh, you're talking about like when one of the enemies goes like into a hole and appears somewhere else on the map.
No.
I'm
He's talking about the big
there's
thing.
a sequence later on where it's like, you have to, you know, the screen is auto-scrolling, and you have to find your way through this little
Oh,
obstacle
fuck
course
that!
before
I
you die.
hate that.
That
a
is
horrible-
annoying.
It's like
but-
they wanted to try to replicate the SAX sequence, but they kind of messed up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that
I mean,
happens in so many
if-
games I like, so I can't
If you,
complain.
like, once you learn, and essentially it's trial and error, and it took me probably about 10 or 12 tries to get through, and I was getting very irritated with it. I was like, I sure
I
as
think I
fuck-
give the game like a 9.
I would give it just shy of an 8. I do think that the lack of enemy variety and the hyper focus on the melee system, and the fact that the level layouts and everything, it's like it's kind of sacrifices a lot of the atmosphere of the original game.
I did notice that actually, Mug.
I enjoyed it. It's fun, and I'm glad I played through it. I'm glad I paid for it. You know, I'm glad I supported the series. But I do think AM2R is a better Metroid 2. Actually, I think of the 3
The only problem I
versions
have with
of
that
Metroid
one
2,
is that
hang
the
on, hang on,
Metroid
hang on,
fights
hang on.
are.
Eric,
Eric,
let him finish.
hang on.
Yeah, let him
The only
finish.
problem that of the 3, I would honestly say that, you know, the 3 versions of Metroid 2, I would say that Samus Returns is honestly the weakest of them.
Wow, that's saying a lot. That sucks.
I mean, not by a massive amount. I mean, it's still a fun game, and it's still, you know, it's still very solid, still very polished in most respects. But it's like, it could use some tweaking.
I thought the 3D was awesome in it. Actually, I think
3D is beautiful. It
That's
looks
one of the
fantastic.
highlights. Yeah, I for all the 3D games I played on the Nintendo, the 3DS, I think that one takes the cake, man. It's the 3D
For me,
is really
was probably
really
A Link Between Worlds was the one with the very best 3D, because the 3D is like, in addition to looking nice, the 3D actually served a useful purpose in that
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. All right. So you're giving it just shy of an 8. What were you gonna say, Eric?
I wanted to say, like, the one thing I didn't like about the AM2R is that the Metroid fights themselves still felt like the original Metroid 2s, where you were just pumping missiles into them and taking a damage because they didn't really give you any alternative.
Well, I mean, they changed things up in the respect of the variety in the Metroid fights in AM2R mostly came in the form of changing up the environments in which you fought them, which was an effective way of doing it. But it is like they're not just spamming them with missiles because they have vulnerable spots now. In AM2R.
I will say the one thing I liked about Samus Returns though is that they got rid of the X-ray scope and gave you the Aeon ability to just scan the map.
Yeah, I mean it was
that saves time.
was,
so did the fast traveling.
Yeah, although I didn't like one thing I didn't care for was the way that they had like the pressure plates to save and to recharge and everything. I was just like,
I think they did that so that you didn't accidentally save.
Well, it's not even that. It's just like it worked perfectly fine before, where like you just use the same system that was used in Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission. You stand on the save point for a split second instead of waiting for the thing to go, and then she like walks back into it. And then you save, then you get the animation, then she walks back out. It takes about 12 seconds to save every time. Same thing for when you get one of the missile or energy recharges. And it's just like, you really could have done this much more expediently than that.
That's one thing that I think people gloss over a lot of times when they review Metroid games. They always bitch about the backtracking. And I can't think of another game that I would call backtracking more than I would Metroid, and that's the point of the game. So, if you're telling me,
the problem with the way that the way that backtracking works in Metroid is different from a lot of other games. Is that backtracking is usually not required. Like it's the way, and a lot of it has to do with the way that the game is structured. Is that you'll see stuff like doors that you can't reach, like on your way to your next goal, and it's like it plants seeds and stuff in your head, as opposed to just like all right, you've cleared out this whole area and you've just gotten this key. Now you have to go to this other door that's on the other side of the mansion, for no particular reason, and that's the difference.
Yeah,
and a lot of the backtracking in Metroid games is optional.
Yeah, but I think that honestly, that's that game. That's unique to that game, and they should always keep that line of thinking because. I can't think of another game I'd want to explore more than Metroid. Like honestly, like all the gaming I've ever done, like I've never been compelled to like backtrack as much as I was with a lot of the Metroid games, and I'm sure this game does some of that now. But if you take that away, what is Metroid? Metroid's not Metroid anymore. It's just another clone of itself. It kind of
Metroid is part of the fun of Metroid is exploration. Yeah. So yeah.
And that is one of the things where where Samus Returns doesn't really have that sense of exploration like your typical Metroid does. It's a little closer to Fusion in that regard.
Yeah.
It's like, and Metroid 2 was always a rather linear game just because of the structure of it. You're just burrowing down into the core of the planet. You're on an extermination mission. And but anyway, let me move on to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Can I mention one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, one thing that actually is probably more of a failing of the Nintendo and Mercury Steam than an actual failure of the game itself is that the game has a couple places in it where it expects you to use the power bombs as a sort of replacement for the shine spark balls in the Zero Mission.
Yeah, and what's funny is,
and it never explains this at all in the gameplay.
No, it doesn't. And you run across those spiked corridors that you cannot get through, and then I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to get to that? One thing that I didn't like about it is that
they're all optional, but still.
Yeah, it's literally
could have helped if they Sorry.
It's literally impossible to get everything until after you've beaten the I'll say the final boss of Metroid 2.
Yeah.
So, and the weird thing is, though, in some of those places, there are ways around that, but the game wouldn't let you think it otherwise. Yeah. Because by the time you do get the power balls, you're at the end of the game anyway.
Yep. Yeah. All right, on to Blade Runner.
Yeah. So anyway, I've had the Blu-ray of Blade Runner: The Final Cut for a few years, never gotten around to watching it. And so the other day, I finally decided, what, I'll sit down and I'll watch it. I'll see what this is all about. And it's like, 'cause it's one of the most influential films of the modern era. And but what's interesting is I honestly think I might have kind of missed the boat on it, because I've seen so many films and TV shows and books and everything that have drawn influence from it, that it's a little hard to appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, see that, yeah.
Because like a friend of mine,
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, and a friend of mine had a similar experience with Aliens. Like he saw Aliens for the first time, and he was just like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was just seems kind of generic. And it's like, well, that's the thing. It's like all that shit. This movie invented Space Marines.
Yep.
And it's like and the whole bug.
All that, as he said, it seemed generic. All that seems generic now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I was only a baby when the movie came out, and I only saw it about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all but it's all relative. Like you've seen so many things that Aliens has influenced, and similar with like I've seen Bubblegum Crisis and The Matrix and Ghost in the Shell and all these other things that are just like they drew a lot of inspiration. But what was interesting is that I was not prepared for the kind of movie that Blade Runner is.
Yeah.
I thought,
okay.
Well, hang on. Let me say, I was expecting it to be kind of a cyber film noir, action, detective action story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's this weird, psychological, like hazy, dreamlike think piece.
Yep.
And like the characters are not, there's really no character development, because it's not really about that.
Yeah.
It also gets uncomfortably rapey in one particular scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes. But it was just, it's weird because you have the character, I say the character of Pris. She doesn't, I don't remember if she actually speaks in that movie. But then Rutger Hauer.
A couple things.
Yeah, but it's like Rutger Hauer's character is, he's interesting, but he's weird and kind of off-putting. Like the whole thing where he's running around in his underwear in the final chase sequence. And it's just like, this is so strange. But it's, and I thought, I kind of figured I was thinking, because I'd seen the Tears in Rain speech.
Oh God, that's Dungeon Master mentioned that.
That before the speech and him, a spoiler alert, he saves Harrison Ford at the end. The guy who's hunting him, who's been hunting him the whole movie.
Yeah.
He saves him at the end, and then he gives his speech. That to me, that's my absolute favorite part of the movie. It's always been my favorite.
Yeah. But what's funny is from seeing that, and I figured, okay, he's probably going to be like a Hans Gruber sort of character, like in Die Hard, like this eloquent, charming, likable sort of villain. And it's like, he's not. He's weird and quirky and a little off-putting.
Yep.
But kind of likable in spite of that. And I was just like, it was a very strange experience for me. And so I was just, if nothing, it's like I enjoyed it. I'm sure I would have. It would have blown me away if I'd seen it as a kid. And the design, like the actual production design and everything of the film still works really well because it's Sid Mead. And Sid Mead was a fucking genius. But it's like the advertising. It's like it has this very other than some of the sillier elements like the light up umbrellas. It has this very real sort of feel to it. It's like this is a future that doesn't feel very far off.
Yeah, honestly. You hit the nail on the head, man. It's weird that you've never seen that movie. I was talking to somebody.
I don't think that's weird because I'm sure there are famous movies you haven't seen. I know there are famous movies I definitely haven't seen.
There isn't very many.
I've never seen the Godfather movies.
Oh my God!
Listen, I'm afraid to watch them. I'm afraid to watch them now because I've seen so many gangster movies and television shows since them.
Dude, you're missing out.
That I know if I see it, I'm gonna be underwhelmed.
Nope, absolutely not.
Because I've seen. I'm sure all these movies that have been influenced I've seen, but I've never seen The Godfather.
Oh God, dude.
He's afraid of it being basically like what Aliens was to my friend and Blade Runner was to me.
Yeah, no.
I've seen this. This movie has had so many. Has had such a huge ripple effect on the entire entertainment industry.
Yeah, I know.
It's hard to appreciate it on its own merits because I wasn't there at the time.
Look, there's room for all of these movies, Breakman. I would highly suggest.
Saying that.
Hold on, let me finish.
There's no reason.
Let me finish, dude. I didn't say you said that. Let me finish my point. Breakman, I highly suggest watching Godfather because that dude. The reason for not watching Godfather is because you think you won't like it. Like honestly, like I mean, I can't understand that. Like the same thing with Blade Runner or Aliens or any of these genre-defining movies. Like, watch it and either hate it or like it, but know where almost like you can name them: Casino, Goodfellas,
Yeah.
Sopranos.
Yep.
All of those movies, Scarface, all of them have roots in Godfather, and Godfather still is as good as it was when I first saw it.
Right, but you saw it like when you did, and like we were saying that about Blade Runner before. Like I saw Blade Runner as a kid, and I still like see it as a great movie.
Yeah.
But if I were to watch it now, I could definitely understand like seeing a lot of it and being like, wow, this is kind of long and boring. I've seen this stuff before.
I would make an argument for Blade Runner. Actually, for what Mugg said, it's more of a think piece. It's not
right. Well, right, but I'm saying for somebody who's never seen it before, you wouldn't. You kind of get the idea that it's an action movie, like he was saying, and it's definitely. If you go into this movie looking for action, you're probably gonna be bored shitless.
Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right on that point. It's like when I saw the trailer for Mother, I thought it was one of the best trailers I'd ever seen. But the movie's completely different than the trailer. Like the trailer makes you think that you're gonna go into this, really, really eerily atmospheric movie, and it has atmosphere, but it's not. It's not the horror movie like we know horror movies. It's definitely a think piece, and
yeah,
I
just looked at the time, and I think we should probably push on.
Let's move on. What are you giving Blade Runner Final Cut? And you saw the best cut, by the way, I believe, the final cut. So
I saw a snippet of the one with the narration, and it was like, where he's sitting in front of the police captain. It's like, he was the kind of guy who used to call black people beep, and I was like, whoa. And I was like, I see why they removed that. But anyway, I would say I liked it, but in light of the fact that I was a little late for the zeitgeist, I would only give it a 7.
I could see that.
That's actually higher than I thought. So
I could see that.
They give it a 7.5.
Yeah, I could see that.
It was a very solid and enjoyable movie, but it was it's like
just don't watch any of the other cuts other than the final cut.
Yeah, the final cut's the best cut.
I was planning on it. But I was like, it's a good movie, and I'm glad I saw it. It was interesting seeing like the core of like where a lot of these influences came from.
Yeah.
But it's like I couldn't appreciate it as much on its own merits because I didn't see it in its own time.
Yeah. Dungeon Buster says 2049's dystopia is so finely done, it's depressingly relevant, and
that's one thing I wanted to mention about the sequel. And one thing that the original made me very curious about the sequel, because I'm thinking like, all right, is the sequel going to be more like the original, or is it going to be more modern? Is it going to be what I thought the original was? Is it going to be the film noir action movie, or is it going to be this weird ethereal think piece sort of thing again?
I hope it's a thinking piece, because I love movies like that. Let's see. Freak 5 says, I'm so excited for Punisher. There's rumors that has been pushed back to late fall next year because of the events in Vegas, which takes us to our stinkos. I'll go ahead and do mine since I mentioned Vegas. Worst mass shooting in American history. But to me, it's not surprising. We have a mass shooting in the United States every day, almost every day now. I think next year will be the first year. I'm guessing, it's conjecture. I think there's 14 days out of the year now that we don't have a mass shooting.
And even in those days when we don't have mass shooting, there are killings going on throughout the country.
Yeah, but I'm talking mass shootings for 4 people or more. Vegas was 59. I've already heard the right wing, with the Second Amendment bullshit, but I think... every time one of these mass what is it going to take? 550? 250 people? 300 people? 1,000?
Here's the thing. It's not going to happen.
No, I understand.
Nobody is going to do anything. It's like, what's it going to take? It would take a miracle.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, I honestly think I don't know what it's going to take. I did see that they're now looking at bump stocks. Like even the NRA was, saying that we should probably regulate bump stocks.
See, there's a whole thing with this bump stock thing, because I've been, I listen to like different radio stuff to see what everybody's opinions are about things, and one of the things I found out about bump stocks is that they're something you can easily replace. You can easily make from
No.
something out of your house.
Yeah, see that's the
So
whole...
even if they ban them, it's not going to stop. It's not really going to solve much of a problem.
I actually... All right, I'm
which
in
is
favor...
sad. No, but I'm not saying
Okay.
I'm against banning them. I'm just saying that
I am.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference.
It's not going to make a difference, but let me finish my point before we all chime in here. I honestly think...
Sorry.
That's okay. It's no big deal. It's just if I don't get my thought out, then it just goes to the ether. Honestly, what it's gonna take is just banning semi-automatic rifles. All right. Anybody that tells me a semi-automatic rifle is needed for hunting is a terrible hunter, and they can go fuck themselves. All right. I've seen hunters here. I've been hunting. There is no reason whatsoever for a semi-automatic gun to shoot a deer, okay? You take one gun, a 22, and you go out there and you try to shoot a fucking deer. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. You just suck at hunting, right? I'll even take it one step further. I don't even understand why taking a gun is legal to go hunting. Go take a bow and arrow, all right? Bow and arrow, that means if you can...
Do it the way your ancestors did it, fuckers.
Yeah. If you can take a bow and arrow and you can kill a deer or a bear or anything else, then props to you, because that type of shit is difficult and that takes a lot of skill. It doesn't take a lot of skill to sit on your ass for hours at a time waiting for a deer to hopefully go in the range that you figured out to the T with your telescope on your rifle. All right? So all this hunter and NRA bullshit, it's all fucking nonsense. If you look at other countries, they for the most part don't do hunting because fucking why? Honestly, hunting? When are we in caveman days where we need to go hunt for our fucking food now? Get the fuck out of here, man.
You're like old Britain where we dress up in ridiculous outfits.
There
are
release the hounds.
There are good
run on
reasons for hunting, though.
Hold on.
Like there are overpopulations of some animals.
Okay, I knew that was going to come up.
Snakes are taking over the Everglades, and
I knew this was coming up.
Very easily. There are reasons for hunting.
I knew this was going to come up, Breakman. The whole thing about overpopulation of animals, which is, at least in this state of Colorado, utter horseshit. People talk about...
in Colorado it is, but in Florida, pythons are taking over the Everglades.
Okay,
and
hold
in
on.
In the South,
I can never... You guys are talking.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yes, hang on. Whoa. I live in the South. I lived in the South my entire life. Deer hunting is a real thing because if the deer population is not culled regularly, they will literally destroy their own food sources and they will go extinct.
Okay, hold on a second, man. I understand this argument extensively. All right. Like I said, I live in Colorado, and the argument I get from hunters all the time, anybody that I talk to about it, is, well, the deers will fucking overtake their food. Just what you said, right?
That's the Weasley argument used
That's
to
not a Weasley argument.
try to quell a dissension.
All right, hold on. Yes, you're right. Eric's is actually right. It's an argument to quell people like me who call bullshit where there's bullshit. All right. If you look at any of the statistics, and I'm not going to talk about the South because I haven't looked at the statistics for the South just yet. Culling could be done by the federal government and is done by the federal government. All right. So all this nonsense.
The thing is,
hold on. All this
Frank,
nonsense.
Before you say anything else, I would like to say I know plenty of people who hunt with crossbows.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. I fully.
That's you can hunt without a gun.
Yes,
but
yes.
is a necessary thing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why my point.
Frank's original point was that you shouldn't have to use guns to hunt.
That's my original point.
I mean,
my second point is culling is a bullshit excuse. That's what I'm saying. That's a bullshit excuse.
It's not an excuse for.
It is.
Culling isn't. It is a necessity. But
look,
it's not an excuse for people to own a bunch of guns.
there's no question about that, Mug. But I'm saying it does not take the general public to do something that if it was a huge problem, the government should do. All right. Why do we pay taxes? So that I can go pay more money to get a license, so that I can have the quote right to shoot a deer, to cull. So now you've made me an employee of the federal government. Fuck that, man.
But
Fuck
Frank,
that.
you made a weak argument of what do I pay taxes for? Guess what? The money you pay for taxes doesn't get spent the way you want it to.
Exactly. No, I understand
None
this
of us.
too.
It doesn't happen for
I
any
totally
of
get
us.
it. I totally
In
get
fact,
it, Breakman.
there's so much money that we
can't-
invest that was supposed to be for one thing, it
Yeah.
gets siphoned off to other things.
Look, we cannot
such.
use this excuse for the Second Amendment every time it comes up that we need to cull deers. Are you fucking kidding me? That is the worst, weakest excuse. It's even worse than what Republicans say with the Second Amendment. I also look like Freak 5. I also support the Second Amendment, but you know what? Nowhere in the Second Amendment does it say you have the right to own a gun, only to
The
bear
Second
arms.
Amendment only. Second Amendment was originally meant for, and it was only meant for, was the right to create a militia.
Yes, a militia against the government, like in the case of like most people don't like Trump now. It was meant to so we could topple a government. All right. It doesn't say you have the right to own a gun. That's a big misconception about the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is basically so you can create a militia and get rid of the government, the people in power, so you can get new people in there that do things for the people, not themselves. So
Well, the thing is about the Second Amendment. One of the things is, it is, there's there's one word in there that makes a big difference that most people don't think about. It's like it's the definite article, the.
yeah.
It's the right of the people,
Yes.
not people, the people,
Yes.
to keep and bear arms. It's like the people as a general population, not individuals.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's what that word, and that's what that term means. But one of the things that someone made a very good point for perspective is like the Second Amendment was written like 235 years ago, whatever.
Yes.
And it's like, imagine trying to write laws now
Yep.
to govern the weapons that'll be around
Absolutely.
in 235 years.
Yeah, can you imagine that? Aliens visit us and they give us all this fucking wicked technology, and obviously the military would weaponize most of it, right? If not all of it. So now we have to legislate now for something that's going to happen 200 years from now. I mean, how crazy is that? You're one of the founding fathers, and your knowledge of guns is a musket or a pistol, single shot, right? And now we're talking about shooting 100 bullets in a minute? Are you kidding me?
Oh, they also
Yeah.
had rifles too.
I mean, there are 59 people
But yeah, I mean,
dead
there was
in
still,
Las
like,
Vegas right now because of
Musket's
fucking.
basically a
Hold
shotgun.
on. There are 59 people dead in Las Vegas because some idiot decided to use a bump stock with 100 fucking bullets in it. Are you fucking kidding me? We need that much firing power. Get out of here.
Yeah, we need
That's
grenades
not what
too.
the bump stock basically. What it does is
It
what
lets
a
you
bump
shoot
stock
faster.
is.
Yeah,
What's that?
lets you shoot faster.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
designed to make your finger like when you press the trigger, make it press it again faster.
Yeah.
That's all a bump stock is.
No, I
which is
understand
why
that.
it's an easy thing to replace.
Yeah, basically makes a semi-automatic into an automatic weapon. That's
Yeah.
what it does. I mean I mean, you can spell it however you want to spell it, but that's what it does. So the clips are too big. I actually think that anything that holds more than like 13, like the standard clip in a Glock or something of that nature, should be the most you could carry at any one point. Because think about it, the Second Amendment people always talk about their right to protect themselves, right? Well, if you have a robber in your house, usually it's what, 1 to 2 people? Do you really need 100 bullets for 2 people?
Well, in chat, Dungeon Buster basically he always says the smartest things because it's Dungeon Buster. He said, and he was talking about back a little earlier. He said today not so much, but it's enshrined and institutionalized to the point where it's impossible to deal with now.
Yeah, no,
referring
that's right.
to like how deeply entwined these people are with their pro-gun.
Yeah, no.
But he also says, I have never heard of a story where a citizen with an automatic weapon saved people from a bank robbery.
You know what? There was a good...
I've never heard the story of somebody with to add to that, I've never heard of a story of somebody with an assault rifle protecting somebody from the government at any point, you know?
Actually, the founding fathers would be in support of it, Freak 5, because it never talks about ownership. It just says the right to bear arms. So,
if you're fighting an opposing government, I don't think you care about
bear
the
arms.
You guys are talking over each other. Yeah. You guys are talking over each other. What were you going to say, Mug?
It says to keep and bear arms.
Yeah, keep and bear arms. That doesn't say own. So, like,
well, the thing
basically,
is, that much is very much open to interpretation.
Okay, here's the interpretation I take from it. All right. It means that if we get in trouble, the military or however other means, you have the right to get a weapon and protect yourself, right? So in times of invasion or military conflict...
Yes, that was the only times it was ever meant to be instituted. Invasions.
Well,
yeah.
One of the things that people don't get is, like, one of the motivations behind the existence of the Second Amendment was because America was still new and didn't really have a standing army.
Nope.
Militias were important back then.
Yeah, absolutely. They needed to call on the citizens and say, here's a musket. Let's go. You know, we need to do this. There was another point that I was going to talk about in chat. About what Dungeon Buster said about nobody's ever stopped a bank robbery because they had an automatic weapon. That's a good point. And there was some good that came out of the Vegas story. There was a person that was performing at that country music festival. He was a guitarist. He said people had concealed weapons license. They had guns on the bus, and none of them picked it up because they were afraid the cops would shoot them, which is absolutely correct. He said he had a narrow view of the Second Amendment until that night, and he completely changed his mind. And these are his words, we need gun control now. And this is somebody that went through this tragedy. So if somebody like that said it to me, if I'm a lawmaker, that should change my mind, but it's not going to change.
Our lawmakers are all like focused on this bump stock thing,
right,
which I said that has been, from what I've heard from gun owners, it is something that they could easily make from household products if they wanted.
Yeah.
Like the bump stock is not the problem.
No,
like, the
it's
assault
not.
Rifles are the problem.
Yes, absolutely. I
mean,
they're
one of the problems, but in incidents like what happened with Vegas.
And look,
But most, in a lot of mass shootings, they're problems. But in most instances, it's usually a rifle or a pistol.
Yeah.
Those are usually what are used for killing.
Yeah.
I would like to add
shotgun.
that now it's not the time to talk about how it's not the time to talk about gun control.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the time to.
Yes. No, you're right.
Yeah, they always say now's not the time to talk about.
Yeah.
gun control.
Now is the time
to talk about how it's not the time to talk.
Yeah.
about
Well, what about? Okay, so now's not the time. Okay, so let's wait. Oh, that's right. Last year Orlando happened. So is now the time to talk about what happened in Orlando? I mean, a year from now.
Yeah, and it's you really. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, so when is the time? Like,
there never is a time.
Now's not the time. It's like, tell me something more than just.
That's like saying that we should
Yep.
talk about gay rights issues back when gay rights weren't a thing.
Yeah. No, so I guess the biggest thing is
we get more important things like the account. No, you're just making excuses not to have to deal with it.
Here's the final point that I'm going to make on it and about that guy. It took somebody that was an ardent Second Amendment guy, and it always happens with Republicans this way. Unless something happens to them, they don't care, right? This guy was probably yapping his whole life.
That's most people.
Hold on.
Well, with Congress,
that's conservative tendency 101.
It's either all guns or no guns. There's no middle ground at all.
How about
that's how people see everything.
I know, and it's not true. We have it's not
Yes.
true. We have things like you mentioned, shotguns, which I can understand. I mean, if you're
as much as I like to see a country without
hold
guns.
on. Can I finish, Eric? Let me just finish this, dude.
You can't do that anymore, unfortunately.
Right. No, I could see if you have a shotgun for pheasant hunting, or if you want to go shoot claymores, or not claymores, those clay disc things. If you want to go take a rifle and go shoot a deer, okay, I guess. I say be a real man and take a bow and arrow and see if you can fucking kill a deer. That's real skill. Other than that,
no, I say
kill a lion with
you
your bare hands.
I say you strip off your clothes and you hunt them with a knife, like
Yeah.
real man.
well,
Yeah,
that's a little
like,
too
it's
dangerous.
Kind of like having claws.
do like
Yeah.
Brock Sampson, baby. Come on, you can do it.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I don't think there's any reason for anybody to own a semi-automatic weapon. As a matter of fact, Vegas is a shining example of something very important. If you want to go shoot a semi-automatic or automatic rifle, they have gun ranges in Vegas that you can do such thing at ranges. And that's the only place that you should ever touch a gun like that unless you're in the military, right? I mean, does that make sense? If you want to go shoot those guns, have at it, Haas. Go to Vegas, and they have plenty of gun ranges. They even have a stripper gun range where strippers can shoot guns for you if that's your
I'll
thing.
go there.
So yeah, so there you go. The other thing, paper towels for hurricanes don't work, but that's Trump's way of helping Puerto Rico, I guess. Shooting paper towel 3-pointers is Trump's way of saying, here's
Trump,
here's
I
your
help.
I can't.
Freak 5 Chaos in chat says it's only an issue because our government needs us arguing with each other so we don't turn on them.
Yeah, that's true too, Freak 5.
There are people like me who have already turned on our government. I didn't like they're.
Yeah, they're worthless. You can say it. They're
A bunch
worthless.
of rich people. There's a reason why Washington D.C. is one of the richest districts in the country.
Yeah. Well, there's a point to that too. I think it all stems from one thing. We could get rid of all this
Which
bullshit.
is weird, 'cause Wall
Hold
Street's in
on,
New
Eric.
York.
Hold on. We can get rid of all this bullshit doing one thing: getting money out of politics. All right. The only reason that we have all these laws for guns is because the NRA is pumping millions upon millions of dollars into Washington via lobbying. If we can get rid of the lobbying and let our politicians vote without donations hanging over their heads, then things will change. Hopefully, But
Well, you're also having people who are donating like
yes,
off books and stuff like that, and even
dark
on
money.
the books, like
yeah.
for instance, look what happened with Ric Pitino. We learned this.
Woo!
I'm sorry, Ric Flair. I did not mean to put you in the same sentence as the jackass Rick Pitino.
Yeah.
But Rick Pitino, right? They're winning, their school was getting funded
money
by
from
Adidas,
Adidas.
and we found out this week 98% of the funding was going right to Rick Pitino.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
Like it was going right to his pocket.
Yeah.
They were only getting 2% of that money.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
there's a lot of that kind of stuff happening too.
Yeah. No,
Where
that's
they're like donating to your cause.
that's what I'm
but
saying.
then you take most of it, and the cause gets a little
If
bit.
you take money out of the equation, sure, we would have politicians still voting stupid things like this guns and all this shit. But the point is, the people would then have a voice to get those people out and get the new generation of people in that don't want that. So it's just all
Also,
about
without
money.
having a constant revenue source from corporations giving them money, they'll have more pressure to put them to actually do their jobs.
Yeah. Breakman.
Well, see, that's a lot of the politicians do what they do because for the number one thing of getting votes, like how they do their thing.
Yeah.
And they
Their
keep
job
getting
is not to
reelected
serve
because
people,
they're getting.
Their job is to get reelected.
They
Yeah.
get reelected because of the amount of money that's donated to their campaigns. That's the only reason why.
That's my point. It's like their job is not to serve people. Their job is to get reelected.
Yeah, their
Yes.
job is to serve the donors. That's what their job is, and it sucks. Let's move on. Breakman, your stinko.
Oh, my stinko goes to overall. I'm just gonna say 2017. This year fucking just sucks.
It's been a bad year
because
for sure.
I only had a couple, and then something happened earlier. Basically, I split my toe open earlier today when I was out in the yard, and I've just decided that this whole fucking year I'm just fucking done with 2017.
Ouch.
It can go to hell.
Ouch. You
Yeah.
split your tail like you fell on your butt?
My toe,
Toe.
not my tail.
I've cut the space in between my toes, but never my toe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I split my big toe wide open.
Ouch.
Doesn't need stitches, so it's okay, but it fucking hurt like a bitch.
Ow.
But the Vegas massacre, obviously, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
But the other one goes to the death of my favorite rock star.
Oh, Tom Petty, man. Yeah.
I'm really upset about that.
Ooh, yeah.
I didn't realize how upset I was until I was listening to some of his music.
Yeah.
What happened was he was reported dead, but he was actually on
life support.
He was on life support, and he was brain dead at that point. He was taken off life support the next day, and so
yeah, it's really sad, man. It's definitely a legend. We might as well do a quick little.
There's a character in JoJo's called Don Petty. It was named after him.
Yeah, let's listen to a little bit. A little bit of American Girl from Tom Petty, man. Yeah, what a talent we lost in Tom Petty for sure, man.
I've listened to a lot of rock over the years, and he was never the greatest singer, I think. But he just, so many of his songs were just, they'd always catch my ear, just.
We've had a horrible year for musicians' deaths, man. It's been awful. Chester from Linkin Park. We had Chris Cornell. We had Scott Weiland. I think died this year. Maybe I think. So it's been an awful year for music for sure. So that sucks, man. It's definitely a bad stinko. Anything else, Breakman?
No, it's not enough. Isn't this year isn't the whole year deserving of a stinko?
Yeah. Exactly.
So much shit has happened this year.
Yeah, Mug, yours stinko of the week.
Stinkos. My stinko is NISA because they did a really, really terrible job with East 8.
You've been railing against that, man.
Oh my god, and it only gets worse. It's like I keep finding look, typos.
Yeah.
And there's this thing where there's this bit later on where it's one of the little character side quests. Like the people in your village, they have approval ratings, and you can do little things here for them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this thing where one of them says I'll give you this money bag that has this much dinero in it. And it's it's written out this whatever this monetary denomination is, but it's DENIRU, and it's and she's like, you get this one with this many dinero, and then you look at then you look at the same item in the inventory screen. It says it's worth 200,000 DINEIL. It's there's no consistency. I mean, it's if you ever saw the dub of the East anime, it's like that. It's just nobody. It's nobody was overseeing anything. They had a bunch of people working on different shit, and they just said, "Everybody done? Okay." And then, oh god, it's what sucks because I love the game.
Yeah.
It very well might be my favorite game.
Even a 9.5.
Yeah, I mean
it would have been a 10 if it not been the localization.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks, man.
But oh god, they really fucked up.
Yeah, what a shame, man. Because that's I mean everything I've seen of that game looks awesome, but.
And
all
it
right.
really.
Danganronpa V3 has some issues with the script as well. So it's something's going on at SI. Is there something in the water? They lost a really good writer, and they're trying to make do. What?
With East 8, could you not see that game as 3-player co-op?
Yeah,
that
they
not
could
be a fucking blast?
Oh god, that would be fun.
Be a fucking blast.
Yeah, be fun for sure. I've been talking about that for years, man. A game where we, an RPG, just maybe even it doesn't even have to be an action. Maybe it's just standard RPG, turn-based. That'd be totally fun. I would get that. All right, you're sweet. Oh, actually, let's go to Eric Stinko.
My Stinko is car troubles.
Ooh, that sucks, man.
Yeah, my dad helped me pay for the car I got it fixed today, but they found another issue. So one of the springs broken, so that's gonna have to get fixed when I get paid again.
Ugh, God, dude, you really need to get a
It's like 10 years old
foreign-
at this point, so of course it's falling apart all at once.
yeah. You need a foreign card to last you a few more years, dude, before you have those issues, man. Honestly, like I mean, you're gonna have issues with cars
I mean, I'm
regardless,
gonna
but
get a new car soon, but that's one thing I probably should fix before trying to sell it.
yeah. All right.
It's just it could
Instead
pop out my tire at any point.
Yeah.
instead of selling it, you could probably make money off trade-in.
Yeah. Well, no,
And
don't
that's what I meant,
sell it.
Trade in.
No, don't
Oh.
trade it in. Sell it. You always make more money selling it yourself on Craigslist.
Really?
Yes.
Nah, I didn't. Well,
Well-
no, I'll wait. No, I donated mine. That's what I did. No,
No,
don't ever
see,
donate. You get
Yeah,
fucking
don't
screwed.
donate it. Just sell it on Craigslist or whatever. Like, don't fuck with trading it in because they'll fuck you every time, man. All right, Sweetos, Breakman.
Well, the whole point of trading is, and it says that
Hold
I
on.
sell it and then I getting a new car.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like the issue would be selling to somebody but still not having a car.
Well, then you take that money and you have your dad drive you and get a new one. All right,
It
Breakman.
that's not always true, Frank, because it depends on the value of the car. Like my parents, because they're old and they drive the car, like 100 miles in a year.
Okay, let me.
When you go to trade in a car for them, they get basically they get another car
No, I
every
understand.
time.
I understand.
But and these are people that grew up poor, but now that they're living off the government. It's lovely.
yeah.
Anyway, they didn't grow up poor. I grew up poor, but but
Well,
but that's another story. Never mind. I'm not getting into this.
Anybody can trade in a car. And
Anyway,
get a new car,
what?
but go ahead.
But I'm
You're
saying,
Cito.
but they don't use the car enough that they go trade it in and they can get a decent turnaround in a car. So you do need to check and see what value.
Go to
you can
Kelly
get.
Blue Book, see what the trade-in value as opposed to how you could sell it on your own for probably way more money.
I probably should have, since we pumped money into fixing the car.
Yeah.
A lot of parts have been replaced already.
I'm telling you.
So we
dude.
should at least get the money back we spent into it.
Just go to Kelly Blue Book and see what the trade-in value. And now, if it's like $100 or $200, just take it in and trade it. But if it's a big difference, like $1,000, I'd consider selling it myself. I always do. Fuck that, man. Dealers always get.
I think my dad's already looked up the value of the car, and he told me it's about $1,000.
Oof. Yeah, it's not even worth it then, man. I'd just trade it. Maybe you'll get some value. I don't know. All right, break. You're
Well, for $1,000, it depends. If you can sell it or not.
yeah,
to
maybe you could
somebody.
sell it
Maybe
for $1,500 or something.
Have you upgraded the stereo system or anything like that in it?
I think when I bought it, I already had an aftermarket stereo on it.
See, it kinds of things like that kind of increase the value for a regular person when you're selling it, as opposed to a dealership, because they don't really care about that. But
Yeah.
so, like a normal person, if you go and sell it to them, they'll want like an aftermarket stereo, because the regular the stereo that comes with the car fucking sucks.
Yeah, the stock
Well,
stereos.
I shouldn't say that, because I've seen new cars with some pretty damn nice stereos.
All right,
but,
let's move on. Break. What are
In
your?
dealerships when I'm looking
I
at
do
them.
have a Lowe's, though.
Well, hold on,
Good.
Eric.
We kind
Hold
of
on.
need one.
So instead of my Sweeto, I'll just do a Lowe's.
Okay.
Yeah,
hang on.
my Lowe's goes to, I don't know when they did it, but Hulu added I think all of them, or at least most of the Godzilla movies.
Oh, sweet. Awesome.
So yeah, I'm gonna binge watch those at some point.
All right, your Sweeto mug.
Well, like I said, East 8 is a fucking superlative game, and everyone should play it. Also, if you haven't checked it out, watch Gerald's Game on Netflix. It
Ooh,
is
good one.
surprisingly good.
Yeah.
It's a very
good
solid
movie.
adaptation of Stephen King.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I watched that. I was.
It's got good reviews, and it has Bruce Greenwood, who I love that actor. So
He's-
And Carla Gugino does a fantastic job.
God, she's
So, yeah, I
really
do
good
wanna see
looking.
it.
The way they structured the movie, honestly, when I read the book, I was like, this could never be made into a movie. It's unfilmable, and yet they did it,
Yeah,
and they made
she's-
it work. And I was like, oh wow, this is actually really,
Carla
really enjoyable.
Gugino is a beautiful woman indeed, man.
Yeah.
She's super hot. All right, Breakman, Sweeto. Oh, you already did.
Freak 5cast in chat says MGGA, make grinders great again. Bring back the harmonica.
No, that would make it sound. Ah!
I have made grinders great again.
Oh God. All right. Let's see. Break. I think you already did your Sweeto, right?
Yes.
Mug, you did yours.
Mine was about all the lube.
Eric.
Oh yeah.
Eric, did you do a Sweeto, or was it your lols?
I have a lols. But apparently, I found out on Twitter today that Money Number 9 for the Xbox One finally got an update that addresses some frame rate issues.
Oh,
So
good.
not only did it take this long, but I found out that Microsoft had done it themselves because I guess they got tired of waiting for the team at Integrates in Concept to fix it.
If I was Microsoft, I'd say give me half the money now, motherfuckers. But yeah, no, that's cool that Microsoft did that for the fans. That's really cool.
I'm just laughing at the fact that the original team didn't fix it.
Yeah. Earlier we talked about Vegas. Well, here's a little bit of, I guess, bright news. I found a channel. I gave them a plug last week, but real soon I'm gonna have the guys from Lost in Vegas on the show. I have to coordinate a time to get them on here, but they basically do reaction videos to heavy metal music. So it's basically two African American guys that do reaction videos to all types of music, not just rock. But I find the rock ones fantastic because these are people that aren't exposed to that type of music as often, and they give their unbiased opinion of it without, rose-tinted glasses. So I think they're a cool duo out of Vegas, and it'd be fun to have them on the show, talk about stuff that happened in Vegas.
I think that's kind of a stereotype to say like that about music.
Oh wait,
What?
I did have Stinko. I completely
No.
forgot about it.
I say it because the guys actually don't listen to that type of music.
Okay,
They're-
okay, that's fine then.
Yeah,
like
no,
I misunderstood you. I thought you were saying like just because they're they're black, they listen to like rap.
No. Well, they
Which
did,
it can't be farther from the truth.
basically
just 'cause you're black,
they're
don't listen to
yeah
it.
no. I mean, people like Seven Dust and a bunch. Oh man, I could think a bunch of awesome bands. But
And
anyways,
you know what? I'll wait a week for this one because things might change.
anyways, like I was saying, these guys. At first, it was just, I believe it was just a channel to do like R&B and hip hop and stuff like that. But they expanded to do other genres, and they do good work over there. And the guy, he wants me to get a hold of him on email. I sent him an email. I haven't gotten back, but I'll talk to those guys. Hopefully, we'll have them on real soon. Something to look forward to on the show. So, all right. Now, did I get everybody on Sweetos, or did I not? Yeah, I think I did. All right. We have a quick topic to talk about here. The game Cuphead came out, an extremely difficult game to play, according to everybody that's played it. How dare you, Freak 5? You're exiled.
What do you mean by saying things might change like Frank's underwear? That's gonna get Freak exiled?
How dare you?
Or
Frank's
harmonica.
underwear has never been changed.
Oh, how dare you? I changed my underwear quite
Frank probably
often,
actually
thank
has a secret pair of underwear with harmonica on it. It says "I love harmonicas."
you. No, I got one of those special Mormon underwear pairs that I wear all the time. No.
And it
Mormon
came,
wear?
Yeah,
it
Mormon
came with a
wear.
binder full of women.
All right. So, anyways, there was kind of a tiff between Eric and someone else on Twitter. I don't want to mention names because I don't want to call anybody out. But the point Eric was making was, I guess the developers of this game put in a lot of content that's not accessible unless you play on something other than difficult.
I was talking with the developer of a different game entirely, by the way.
Okay, but my point is this: like, if I pay for something, I want to be able to play that content. All right, and he was trying to make a martial arts analogy, which didn't fly very well with me because I've been in martial arts and I know that the dedication it takes to gain levels, I guess if you would say, but most people bought their belts, so this
Also, that's a discipline as opposed to something you
Yeah.
pay for entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to treat it like a discipline, that's your prerogative.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean
exactly.
everybody else has to follow along.
It's like
Yeah, like I go and buy my belts at the store like everybody else. Jeez.
yeah, exactly.
No,
No.
I would say that as far as Cuphead goes, a game developer is not obligated to make a game accessible.
That's also true, and that's not what I'm arguing against.
Yeah, that's
so.
not his argument, which I agreed with Eric wholeheartedly. I was like, look, if you make something in your game and you expect, somebody to play it only on a different difficulty, then you're doing a disservice to yourself, and you're taking away a good portion of your audience. I can't put a specific number on
there's
it.
a true ending in Volgar the Viking, and it's like you have to do pretty much a perfect run to get that, but it doesn't. The ending is not that much better than the other endings.
Yeah, and
Think
it's
about
just
like
more stuff.
remember like Contra 3 on the Super Nintendo. It's like
Oh
in
my
order
God.
to fight the very final boss.
But
and
this
get the
sounds
real
like
ending,
extra
you had to play
levels
it on
and
hard.
stuff.
yeah, no,
I love that game. I've never been able to beat it without a game genie.
yeah.
And if a developer wants to make a game that way, fine. But if a person writes an article saying maybe more games should have options and they shouldn't do this, and then yelling at that person for doing that, I think you're in the wrong.
Absolutely.
Well, that's lame. But the thing is like
And that's what this person I felt was doing.
Yeah, that's exactly
as
what
far
he
as
was
like
doing.
Cuphead itself goes. I mean, if the developers wanted to make it a hardcore game and they wanted to be like, if you want to play through this game, you're gonna have to step it up. Like, I
Well,
don't have a problem with that. Like,
no,
I enjoy some really hard games.
I don't either. But if they put content
I
that
still
you
get snuffed,
that,
and I still enjoy
hold
playing
on.
them. Some people might not.
Oh God,
But that's the thing. Not every game is for everyone.
No, I know, but look, these
Yeah, like all games are niche. I mean,
look,
there are so many varieties of different types of games.
there's a difference.
Like every game is made to appeal to a certain audience.
There is a difference between something like Bloodborne or Dark Souls or Demon Souls and Cuphead. Okay, the developers of those games, not Cuphead, but of Dark Souls and all that, those guys had a very specific design in mind to where, yes, you did have to get really good at that game in order to get to the extra content and all that. But
that sounds like every Nintendo game.
But the thing
hold on.
So the person in question for this journalist who wrote their editorial piece on it, basically was questioning whether or not some of the hitboxes were as accurate as they could be.
Okay. This is not what I'm arguing. What I'm saying is there's a difference between Cuphead and the Souls games for the most part. And in that, this guy is saying, you can't play this extra content that we've already made you pay for. In Bloodborne, you get you
okay, that's shady then.
Yeah, it sucks. It's awful.
I think you're extremely off base because think about it.
No.
It's a class. Hang on. It is a classically difficult game, and there were tons of games where, like, particularly back in the NES era, where you either got good at the game or you didn't see the rest
There's
of it.
a difference.
That's a good point. But hold on.
Wait.
Let me clarify one thing. Are you talking about DLC, Frank, or are you talking about the regular game itself?
No. I'm talking about the game itself, all right? Now,
okay, I thought you were talking about DLC. I misunderstood.
What Cuphead
that's
wants
fine,
you to do, what Cuphead
Sorry.
wants you to do is pay for content and not have access to it, okay? Hold on! Every time I try to get this point out, I get interrupted by everybody. Look, the Dark Souls...
No, Frank, nobody's interrupting you.
All right. What I'm basically saying is Dark Souls tells you get better at the game so you can get this. Cuphead tells you pay for it, and I don't care if you get better. You just have to change the difficulty to even harder to get to this content. And that is bullshit. And that's what Eric was trying to get through that guy's skull. All right? Developer or not, I'm a player of games, and I'm not stupid enough to notice those type of differences in video games, all right? And Eric was pointing out the same thing, and then that guy got been out of shape, and I'm like, your analogy sucked, just like Eric said his analogy sucked.
And you lose the argument as soon as you start hurling insults like "bite me."
Oh yeah, no, I saw that too, and that's when I jumped in.
Then I did a postscript on it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if anybody read that part.
Honestly,
as far as like,
go ahead.
What's that?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, like, the game is, I mean, like, it's self-contained, because I remember, like, when playing the original Ninja Gaiden on the NES, I got to stage 6-2, and I could not, I mean, everybody who's played that game and gotten that far knows exactly where I'm talking about.
The fucking bird from hell, yes.
No, not the bird. The rocket-powered ninjas in the green stage near the very end.
If you game over there, you get sent all the way back to 6-1. That's bullshit design.
That's only if you die at the final boss.
Boss, yeah.
Okay, I don't remember what spot you're talking about, because I was thinking about that fucking bird from hell.
Yeah, well, there were many birds from hell in that game, but either way,
there's one spot, I can't remember what goddamn level.
Okay,
maybe it's level 5.
We're getting off track.
Sorry,
we're getting off track. The point was, I could not get past it. It just looked like there were plenty of people who bought Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo. Have never played through that game. I would wager that most people who have played Super Ghouls and Ghosts have never seen the ending of that game.
Without watching other people do it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and they've never done it themselves.
Yeah,
I haven't. You can skip all the way to sorry, it's the cheat code.
All right, guys, can we
let's
let Mug finish his point here? Go
ahead.
Mug.
I was agreeing. I'm agreeing with him. I've never beat any of those games. I've watched other people do it, but I've never done it.
Yeah.
There are plenty of games, and you look at a game like like the Bloodborne games and the Souls games. There's a ton of content in those games that, unless you pardon the expression, get good at the game, you're never going to see, and there's nothing wrong with that.
That's right. That you've made a good point. But if I paid for it, it's there. It's not saying we're gonna put you on a different. You have to choose the difficulty in order to get that. That's what I'm saying. The game is hard enough as it is, and now you want to not give me the opportunity to play this extra content because why? Because you want me to choose a better difficulty that's beyond my reach? Fuck
well,
that.
Look at it this way. The game was the thing was, I would wager that this is very likely the philosophy behind it, because the same thing held true with like the Ninja Gaiden and Devil May Cry and Bayonetta games. I mean, they're really designed around the higher difficulty levels, and the lower difficulty levels are there as essentially throwing people a bone.
Yeah. Not fun.
I mean, the thing is, and it's not fun for you. That's fine. It's not necessarily fun for me either. But there's nothing inherently wrong with it.
It can be fun for some people. Let me use Mega Man as an example. Mega Man games are extremely hard for some people. For people like me and Eric who've played so many of them, we can do a lot of stuff better than other people can.
Okay.
Mega Man 9 was just like, I can't play this game. It's too fucking hard.
So what if they sold you that same game?
I fucking love Mega Man 9
because
Mega Man 9 was designed to kind of trip up people who are pros at the game.
What's the hardest?
They would do things that were completely unexpected for somebody who'd played the originals.
What's the hardest?
But I'm saying that these games were. They're designed in a way that's kind of fun for some people,
right,
but not fun for others, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Freak 5 brings up a good point. He says, I don't think most RPGs have a difficulty selection because it's built into the game, Freak 5. They don't give you an RPG and say,
some games like
Hold
Star
on.
Ocean have difficulties.
They don't give you an RPG and give you all this extra content and say change the difficulty to this. No,
it's the difference between a game that was designed hard and a game that has multiple levels of difficulty but content's locked behind it.
I'm done. Any other points? Any other points?
I did want to move on to my postscript a little bit, but I'm more upset with people who are part of the get good culture and are just completely unhelpful assholes.
Yeah, well, that guy really,
It's like,
really.
why don't you encourage this person or give them some tips instead of saying get good? It's like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and it's not that I'm disparaging.
I feel like this developer in particular was a part of that club.
Eric,
That's why I got angry
Eric,
with him.
please let me just have a minute of your time, please.
That was just my topic.
I know, but let me just have a minute because I'll lose the thought, and then it'll be on the ether, and then I'll remember it later, and I'll get pissed off because I can't fucking say it. Look, it's one thing to have a game that has difficulty built in, right? And it's another thing to expect somebody to pay for extra content that you should just be able to play, regardless of difficulty. Freak 5 brought up a good point. RPGs are a unique experience in this way. You can make them as hard as you want, or you can make them as easy as you want, depending on, how much you grind, or how much you learn the battle system, or learn the areas, or stuff like that. What is the hardest Mega Man game that you can think of, Breakman? 9?
The first one.
The first one. Okay. Let's say they sold you.
Well, I just really because of the one particular boss.
Okay.
But as far as like
the Yellow Devil
game, yes.
Yeah. Let's say they. Okay, go ahead.
But I'd say like as an all-out experience, 9 is extremely hard. So's 10.
Okay.
Both of those games were made to be hard.
Okay, let's say 9, right? They sold you 9, but they added all this content, right? And the only way you could get to it was by ratcheting up the difficulty beyond your skill. Your skill
Did
set.
I have to pay more money for it?
Yeah, well, you already
If they're charging me more money for it, not let me have it, then yeah.
They already charged
But if
you.
it was in there
You're
to
missing
begin
the point.
with, well, no. For instance, like Mega Man Powered Up, Proto Man was an unlockable character only if you unlock if you beat every stage, basically on easy, normal, and hard.
Okay, easy, normal.
After,
So there you
after
go.
After a couple years, though, Capcom just decided to unlock him.
Okay,
which
but-
is
okay.
a developer
This is-
decision.
This
But
is a good.
if
This is good. Okay, you could play it on easy and still get that DLC content, right?
no,
You couldn't. You had to play it
no,
on
that's what I'm
hard.
saying. You had to beat the game
Because
on
he
every
wasn't,
setting.
Yeah, he wasn't DLC. He wasn't DLC. He was an unlockable character that was unlocked after you beat all three
Right.
difficulties.
Right.
He came with the game, yes.
I don't mind extra bonuses like what is it? Gears of War has an insane bonus where you if you beat every level on insane you get a different ending. That's not what I'm saying. I that's okay.
How about that? Let me like use the Ninja Gaiden games as an example. Like the original Ninja Gaiden, if you play it on the harder difficulties, you'll get extra enemies
Okay.
that you'll never see in normal difficulty.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that. All right.
You know what's
but,
weird? In Mega Man Legends for the PlayStation 1, to unlock easy mode, you have to beat hard mode. Isn't that kind of
PSP.
messed up?
Oh God.
That's-
Oh, Legends. I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you had.
That's
Yeah.
stupid.
It's like, why would you beat hard mode to unlock easy mode? They fucked
That's
that
so
up.
Dumb. Yeah, it's dumb.
It is kind of weird.
I like it when games like make you play on an easier level and they give you an extra if you beat it on extra hard you get this. That I'm okay with, but Cuphead's a little different. They basically say we got the content here and fuck you, you can't play it because your skill set sucks. Get better.
Well, I
know?
think the thing is, if they're stating outright what has generally always been implicit in older games, it may come off as a little dickish, but they're not doing anything. They're not doing anything wrong. I mean, the game itself is constructed in the same fashion as a lot of the old classic Nintendo games.
No,
Yeah,
I
I would be
understand.
really cool with what you're talking about, Frank. Like, I would love to be able to play, like, if there's a certain stage you can't get past, to be able to skip it
Yeah.
and go play these old, other stages
Yeah.
and stuff. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying is it's the developer's choice.
No, there's no
That's
question
fine.
about that.
You
I'm
know,
not-
another thing that was weird that I noticed in another game was in the Wild Guns remaster for the PlayStation 4 and PC, but you can only play certain levels if you play on certain difficulties,
And by the way, I won't play your game if you're a dick to me. I've had a few developers.
which is fine because I guess I I get to play this one level
Eric?
instead. But
Eric, let him finish.
okay.
Yeah. I won't play the game if you're a dick to me. Like, I've had developers be kind of snotty with me, and maybe they had a bad day or whatever. But, you know, if you can't take the time to be cool with the people that are going to play your game, or that have legitimate gripes and questions like Eric did today, I'm not going to play that game. Now, I'm not saying I'm not going to play Cuphead.
That wasn't today. That was actually last night.
Well, whatever, Eric. I responded today. So the point being is, like, if I see somebody being an asshole to somebody and they're a developer, then I'm less likely to play the game, because I'm like, look, you're just too inaccessible to me. You know, and like, take for instance, and it's the opposite. If you're nice to me, or people that I know, or to people in general, I want to play your game. You know,
I kind of get your point, because that's how I've felt about Steve Jobs and Apple for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, even though he's gone, but I'm saying back when he was in charge.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
that's not my reason for hating Apple. Just whatever. I don't hate them.
Fucking love Apple.
I don't hate them. I meant back when he was in charge.
Yeah.
But,
no, Steve Jobs not.
But now, like, I'm all for an American company doing good, because it's good for us to have jobs, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Even though the people who own the company still make, the most money, and anyway, we can get into that later.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we gotta go. Mug, is there anything else you wanted to add to that before, or anything? All right.
I'm all set.
Your plugs. Any plugs?
You're not even gonna play that harmonica.
God damn it, Eric! You're exiled, you son of a bitch! God damn it! I thought he forgot about it, and then you have to bring that shit up, man. You're exiled.
I'm sitting here
Eric.
fiddling with it, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And then go right, hold on, I go.
Eric. Eric.
Before we go into the plugs, there's real quick in chat. Freak5Cast says, "This makes me think of Chrono Trigger. Did anyone else beat the game every time you had access to the portal to the end, just to see all the potential endings?" Yeah, that was one of my goals with Chrono Trigger, was to see all the endings.
Yeah.
And then argue with friends over what happened, what transpired during those endings. Like, yeah, they're totally making out. Shut up. Anyway.
Yeah, you know what?
Dutchbush says Diablo.
Yep. All right.
Dutchbush says Diablo 3 is like that. It even offers an Iron Man mode where if you die, your character's gone.
Ooh.
I would never fucking play that
mode.
But for the people who do, but players love it. There are some people that love it because of the unique challenge and loot it potentially offers.
No, I understand.
Which I agree with that, but like I said, I would never play that mode, because fuck that.
Yeah,
God damn,
fuck
lose
that.
your character and everything.
Yeah, no, fuck
In
that.
Diablo? Oh,
Well,
no.
it's sort of like that in
Fuck
Dungeon.
no.
That takes me back to Dungeon.
You do a lot of work in Diablo to lose everything. God damn, no.
It takes me back to
It's like Mr. Invincible.
Eric.
That's right. Go ahead, Eric. Your plugs, please.
We're going to plugs now.
Yeah.
Okay. You can find sites I've written reviews for on places like BostonBasherBrigade.com, TotallyGN.com, VogNetwork.com. In fact, I've got a review of Cat Quest up on there. The PC version, because the console versions aren't out yet, which makes me wonder, when is that going to happen? I think it's soon. It's just there hasn't been no announcements.
All right. Any other plugs, Eric?
But there's also my YouTube channel, Funny T-Man, and then you can find me on Twitter at EricRPG.
All right. Breakman, your plugs.
You can follow me at @break_man and at RPGrinders. And you can send us a Would You Rather, like our friend at Freak5Chaos, who wants to see if we'll throw up at any point.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that is what he's trying to do. Are you trying to make us throw up, Freak? Is that what your goal is?
Oh, God.
I mean, it's an admirable goal. I was just wondering.
If you want to throw up, just look up on YouTube. I think it's 5,000 maggots. Eating 5,000 maggots. That'll make you throw up for sure. So, anything else, Break?
Wasn't the vomiting enough? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Geez.
All right. My plugs are as follows: at Frank Branches, at RPGrinders, at Frank Branches, at RPGrinders on Twitter. You can catch us live every Saturday, 3 Eastern Time on YouTube, Twitch, Ustream. And if you can't catch us live and join the awesome chat that we have here, then feel free to download the archive on iTunes, YouTube, and all the available channels. And that's it, I think. Oh, this month is Halloween month, so I'm gonna be doing lots of
I
reviews.
think we were supposed to do a free for all on vampires and werewolves. Maybe we could save that for like next week or something.
Yeah, let's save it for next week, Eric. Please let me finish, Eric. I honestly, dude, I just want to get my thought out. Oh God, I don't even know. I don't even know if that's affiliated with who I think it is, Freak Five, and if it is, I don't want to have nothing to do with it. All right. Oh yeah, go check out Freak Five show, Zombies Anonymous. Give them a shout out. Give them a favorite clip of the previous 99 episodes. They're doing 100 episodes. Their next recording session. Let's see. And I think that's about it. Go see Blade Runner. I'm gonna go see it maybe tonight or tomorrow. And that's about all I got. Thanks everybody in chat. Dungeon Buster, Freak Five. Who else was in there? MXT was in there for a short bit. I know Bridget was in there for a quick little bit. So thanks everybody for joining RP Grinders this week. Stay safe this weekend. We want to see you back here next week. Until then, we are out. Later, guys. Doesn't that sound like Zelda every time? Like a little shades of Zelda for our outro. I love it, man. It's pretty cool. Hey guys in chat, thank you guys so much for joining. We always appreciate you guys, Dungeon and Freak, and anybody else listening. And if you're listening on YouTube, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it too. So until next week, guys, we're out.